because he's got a 150 coming.
Yeah, where's Gal?
Yeah, but Rod Benjamin's going to mix it up as well, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think all due respect to Rye, but like when we're, I mean, I'm just you got to be honest. When just talking about the 150, and we're talking about Noah and Gal. Noah's sweet spot is that 150 to 200 in terms of like, all right, this is his event in a sense.
At the end of the day, Gal doesn't start well.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I mean, just for purposes of argument, like a 150 with Noah Lyles, I'm like, Gal ain't got no shot.
Yeah.
Like, to me, he ain't got no shot. Because, I mean, if he can't get off in the beginning, and Noah definitely, when you give him more real estate, like more than 100, and a turn, like I just don't see it. I just don't.
Sha'Carri, as much I know she's so polarizing, and like some people love her, some people hate her, but like I'm kind of at a point where you can't count her out. 2025, we all had a lot of questions about what she looked like throughout the entire year. Like, she did not look like the Sha'Carri, but she found a way to make the final. So it's not like she finished down in the pack or she didn't make so when I'm looking at Sha'Carri right now, as many questions as people can have, as much criticism as people can have, I'm looking at her as someone who knows how to figure it out.
Christian Coleman is not that. I just don't, it's different. With him, he was a world beater. And then he went from a world beater to a member of the chase pack. If you are this new generation of young sprinters, these high school boys we be seeing, and you see Christian Coleman in a race with you scared?
I mean,
because it's like somebody who, remember, the last time he was a world beater, you was in middle school.
Obviously, Gatlin beat him at Worlds. But like after that, he was the guy. The high school kids last year, Maurice Cleaton was in a race with him and actually beat him. And it was like, to your point, he was in middle school, when he was, when Christian Coleman was the guy. So it is.
The sprinting landscape is continuing to evolve. And when it comes to the men's sprints, we've had quite a few races now, whether it's, Velocity Fest down there in Jamaica, some Diamond League meetings, and even, your Tom Jones, all that type of stuff. Like, people are running. And we're at a point where in a year where there's no world championships, world ultimate that gets taken the place of it, we're starting to figure out who's looking good and who's not looking so good. Some people have barely even run, specifically in the outdoor season. We have all this indoor data to go off of. And when it comes to the big names, we're still waiting to see Oblique, specifically in, an individual 100-meter race. That's where he's, the defending champion, or at least on the world stage. But we're also still waiting to get data from, quite a few people. We've seen Noah.
Yeah.
Finally, we have a Noah Lyles sighting in Tokyo. Came with Jordan Anthony. But yeah, it's been a lot of surprises. So I got to kick it to you because I don't even really know what you're going to say in terms of which names have stood out to you. Because I feel like it's such a mixed bag at this time. But of the major players, who's looking good right now?
Well, let's start with Noah, because obviously he's coming off, winning the 200 gold last year. You got the bronze in the 100 last year as well at the world champ. So, split results in terms of not being able to defend both golds. But now coming into 2026 outdoors, like you said, no world championships, no Olympic games. But Noah said that he just wants to have fun. He just wants to go out there and compete. And I think Noah, now I don't know if Noah has done anything different than previous years, but I say that he's starting off on a pretty good foot, right? So he just went to Tokyo, like you said, he ran 995, nobody competitive in the field, nobody on Noah's level. Shout out to Tate Taylor.
I was about to say, I wonder how the high school boys felt. Nobody competitive.
I mean, all I'm saying is like, they are, all due respect. Like, they're on the rise, but like, we're talking about Noah Lyles, right? Like, we're talking about Olympic champion, world, like, they're one day, hopefully. But in the sense that, okay, Noah, I think most people would have expected Noah to get the win in the 100 there. And that also comes off of he ran, 19.9 in the 200 down at Tom Jones. So I think Noah is actually in a very good position relative to previous years as we look forward throughout the year. He's having fun. I guess the question is, like, where does this all end up? he hasn't confirmed that he's going to the World Ultimate Championships. He's at least said that he's still unsure, still looking things up. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know. But do we expect him to be the most dominant athlete by the time this year is over? We're going to see him soon. Running at a few different races against a couple of guys, but like, do we expect him to be the most dominant athlete either in the 200 or the 100, as we've seen over the past couple of years? Again, the 100, little drop off as the Jamaicans have kind of stepped up, but yeah, I guess he's looking good. But I wonder what the trajectory is for this year based on what we've seen so far from him.
Well, I'm gonna say this. If we're talking Noah and I'm looking at, because I pulled it up just, for evidence sake, I'm looking at the actual list of the fastest men in the world right now in the 100. Noah's in the top 10, and nobody's gone faster than 989, and that's still Kevin Chippy.
Yep. Literally.
So, I mean, and that was with a plus one, too, if people care about win factors. So, of all these names, no shade against those names, aside from Jordan Anthony, who is technically a question mark. I mean, Ferdinand Omanyala won, in the Diamond League, this most recent one in Xiamen, at least at the time we're recording this video. Shanghai, I mean, he was right up there, but again, this is early. And I think with Ferdinand Omanyala, everybody's just kind of waiting for what championship time looks like with him more than anything else. So, I mean, Brian Lavelle's not 90, but then again, you followed that up with a 10-3 at,
Yeah.
one of these velocity fests or like, the Puma,
Yeah.
AAA meet or whatever it was. So, long story short, I mean, there's nobody on this list ahead of him right now who's given us much to be concerned about. I
Yeah.
mean, it's just names. And then again, all these names have accomplishments in their own right, but it's still just names. So you
Mhm.
got to say that between that and the 200, which, I mean, I'm pretty sure the 200-meter list ain't going to look much different.
Nah. Well, even all right.
Yeah,
Even
same
thinking.
thing. Exact same
Yeah.
thing. I mean, you've got
Mm,
Dembele, a college kid, Jelani Watkins, Aiden Murphy and Gout from, the crazy race in Australia,
Yeah.
which we don't have to, deal with at the moment just
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
the
Yeah. Yeah.
speculation about wind and this and that or whatever. And then you have Andre DeGrasse, who in 1984. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, Noah's looking pretty good. Where if I'm not convinced any of these people, if you told him to race them in either of these events, aside from maybe Jordan Anthony, would I actually take them over him?
So I think I agree right now, especially when we're talking about Noah in the 200. I'm still of the mind that Noah dominates the 200. This is still his era of the 200 until he proves us otherwise, right? Whether or not, obviously, he lost the Olympic golds, both, or Olympic golds and silver, right? He got bronze both times in 2021 and 2024. But I think we have enough to say this is Noah Lyles' era in the 200. Like you said, Andre DeGrasse, he ran 19.8. He's showing some great form, and he's the Olympic gold medalist from 2021. But I'm not picking him over Noah when it comes, to push or shove at a major meet, whatever that may be this year. In the 100, I think that's where the conversation could be more interesting. And maybe this is where we start to think about Jordan and Noah. Obviously, they trained together. Like we saw them go, well, not back and forth, but at USA indoors in terms of the 60, Jordan was able to hold things down, get the belt and everything. But now outdoors, we haven't seen them run 100 yet. And even though I still have my reservations about Jordan when it comes to getting on the podium, breaking through, beating Noah, oblique Kishane. But when we see them line up at 100 right now, based on what we've seen, there's a world where Jordan versus Noah is not only competitive, but maybe Jordan gets the best of Noah. But I don't know. Again, this is specifically the 100. I don't know.
Well, it's gonna happen in Rome, so it's coming.
Yeah.
It's coming very soon. And I mean, as far as what I think is actually likely to happen,
Hmm.
I'm gonna call it as I would say Jordan. If I had to take one of the two, I'd take Jordan right now. He looks more confident in that event. That's more naturally what his event is. I've said Jordan Anthony has Noah Lyles' talent slanted towards the 100. I mean, he looked solid in the
Mm.
200, but at the end of the day, solid for him is not Noah Lyles. Like, remember, he's running well for what we've seen from him through his career till this moment. And Well is still 20-0, 19-9. I don't think he's ever gone faster than that. Like he went
No.
20-0 this year. So like so far in his Tokyo race. So I mean, I don't know how excited I'm supposed to get as far as 19-7, 19-6, 19-5. I don't know if that's ever gonna be him this season. Like
Yeah,
that's
I'm not
people get
predicting
kind of
that
crazy
yet.
with the projections. They're like, "Oh, he looked easy in this race." I'm like, "How you look and how you feel and what it is ain't the same." That's just it
Yeah.
looked that way. He
Yeah,
runs
yeah.
easy all the time. Even when he in the back, he still run easy. Like if you was watching the Milrose, he didn't look like it didn't look that hard.
Mm.
He just was behind. So I say all that to yeah, I would take Jordan in the 100 at this moment, but yes, it would be a very competitive race. I think Noah would, put a move on as he normally would, and you would kind of watch that surge all the way to the line. If he does get him, it's going to have to be to the line. It's, I don't think it's like with the field he had in Tokyo, that field had him like in that
Mm.
final. That field had him for the first 40, 50, and then once he catches them, he just keeps walking away, and he catches them around 65, 70, where it's like I'm in the front at this time, and then it's over. I mean, granted, the high school kids, they just go charge full speed ahead. So, you know what I mean? Like their race model is go. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
sure they're being technical for what they think they can do at this time, but it's not evolved to where it's going to be if they're, at the elite pro level years from now. So I kind of expect a version of that where a Noah Lyles, if he's looking at you at 70, he's going to be walking away from every single step from that point on. So Jordan Anthony's not that.
Well, so I guess then the idea is you think Jordan can put enough distance in that first, 50 to 60 to 70 meters where Noah won't be able to catch him. Like, because I'm thinking back to indoors where Jordan, he really dominated the field, both Trayvon, and Noah. But if we had an extra 40 meters there, do you think Noah would be able to close that gap when we're looking towards, Jordan? And that was his first 60 of the year. This time it's like he's gotten his legs moving in the 200 and in the 100. I wonder if Jordan will be able to kind of hold him off. I feel like I'm kind of agreeing. I think I agree, but I'm also like, I don't know. Noah finds a way to be able to show up even in these quote unquote random races. It's a Diamond League race, but like, you know, I wonder if Jordan will be able to put enough distance on Noah in that first half to make sure that he's not able to run him down.
I mean, it's hard to, you know, project out because I don't think Noah runs the 60 the same way he runs 100. I
Mm.
think the competitive, like the 60 benefits him as a competitive endeavor, if that makes sense. I don't know if it benefits as like 60 meters, add 40 more. Because I've watched closely enough to be like, this man be moving through 60. And then when those hundreds start, it'd be looking different again. Where it's like, oh man, like it ain't that same 60 plus 40. But I've just accepted that like he's running to the line. And wherever you tell him that line is, he's running to. And the longer you move that line out towards 200 meters, the better his chances get. So much so where they're the water line that you pass, where at that point you moved into what I'd call Noah territory for what this generation is. Clearly, the 200-meter is
Mhm.
it. The question is, where is 150 on the way to that? Because he's got a 150 coming,
Yeah, where's
and
Scout
the
Gal?
coach, yeah, but Rod Benjamin's going to mix it up as well, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I think all due respect to Rye, but like when we're, I mean, I'm just you got to be honest. When just talking about the 150, like I'm not sure. Sure, Rye Benjamin he's run sub 20 in the 200. He's run 10:03 in the 100, but like a little far removed from that 100 and 200. And we're talking about Noah and Gout Gout, right? Like Noah, like I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I think to your point of like Noah's sweet spot is that 150 to 200 in terms of like, all right, this is his event in a sense. You know that's what we're looking at.
Gout is different when you even bring him into discussion. So let's just have this one for a moment. I saw the little training video of like this Adidas get together thing. You probably saw it as well.
Yeah.
And some people were making, comments around the how they looked next to each other. At the end of the day, Gal doesn't start well. He
Yeah,
just
he
doesn't.
doesn't.
Like that's just not where he's at this time. He's not going to run the indoor 60 in anything electric. I'll use an example using his peers. Tate Taylor, who was just running with Noah, Tate Taylor struggles to break 6.7 in the 60
Mm,
meter dash. Like 6.70 seconds is a struggle for him. I think he's done it at least once, but the point is, it's not easy. Noah struggled to break 6.6 for a while.
yeah, for
Like I
years.
remember watching that, like where that was not yet like a foregone conclusion for him to even be in the 6.5s. So, I mean, things can improve over time. But when you talk about, I mean, just for purposes of argument, like a 150 with Noah Lyles, I'm like, y'all God ain't got no shot.
Yeah.
Like to me, he ain't got no shot because I mean, if he can't get off in the beginning, and Noah definitely, when you give him more real estate, like more than 100 and a turn, like I just don't see it.
No.
I just don't
Yeah.
see it. Like I mean, because Gal will be behind, try to make a move with a guy who's moving.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what that's how it's gonna happen. He's gonna try to make a move on a guy who's moving, and
Yeah.
like he normally makes moves on people who are deaccelerating rapidly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the question. I mean, again, the 19.6, I mean, the time's on the board. It's, I mean, I don't know if it's ratified yet or whatever they call it, but I mean, I heard there was speculation it wasn't at the moment. Like, it's up there. Like, it
Yeah.
happened. I mean, I mean, Aiden Murphy, his time up there too. And like, so, because the question with the entire field moving down, which is what kind of called into question, like, what really did we just witness with that particular race? To bring it back to Noah and Jordan, I mean, Jordan ran a 200. We saw what that was, 20.0. But what mattered more to me was Courtney Lindsay being behind him.
Mm. Okay.
Competitively speaking, that was me determining the level that Jordan really was on.
Okay, okay. Is it because Courtney is almost like one of the obviously not like the top, but he's made multiple US teams and, he's mixed it up on the circuit. Is it like, okay, Jordan can hold his own against one of the better Americans and one of the better guys in the world?
Because it still comes back to you got the Avengers or what's left of them.
Mm.
I mean, since, 'cause I say what's left of them, again, for the people in the back, if you don't know who the Avengers are. The Avengers are America's world beaters. We have them on the men's side. I mean, the women, it's, they got their own name for it, or at least I got my own name for it. But as far as the men and the women in America, when it comes to winning stuff, the Avengers are the people who have proven that they are world beaters. And you know how we know? Because they've done it. They've beaten the world. And we had a bunch of them. We got to a point where we could fill out an entire relay with the Avengers, meaning the only time they weren't getting gold is because an American was in front of them. That's what
Mm.
makes Kenny an Avenger, to clarify. Because he had moments getting gold where he beat the rest of the world. He just didn't beat the Americans, like specifically Noah. So the age of the Avengers is kind of changing at this point,
Mhm. Mhm.
but Noah is still an Avenger.
That'd be of course.
He still is. So, I mean, if we're just having the discussion there, Jordan Anthony feels like he's in between the Avengers and the Chase Pack. That's how it feels. And Courtney Lindsay is like one of the leaders of the Chase Pack.
Mm.
So if he's ahead of him, and remember, he raced him at Tom Jones in the 100, and I was there to watch it
Yep.
live, and then he races him again in Tokyo. That means Courtney Lindsay now has to deal with that twice in terms of I raced the same guy, more or less laned up next to him. And both times he beat me handily enough where I now have to process that. Now, we know everybody's training their way through the season. So you could talk about, oh, it's early season, or they think they final form. Here's the problem with that. That's true for everybody in the race.
It's fair.
We
It's
got to grade
fair.
the races that we got.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. This is a good
And
point.
at this point, Courtney Lindsay, 0 for 2. And
That's fair.
and didn't he make Team USA in both last year?
Yeah, 100 and 200, both of them.
And he made it in 2023
Yeah, made the
in the
200 team in
200.
2023.
So,
Yep, yep, yep.
I mean, so yeah, and he beat Fred to get there. So with that in mind, like that's why I say he's the leader, one of the leaders of the Chase Pack. Like he's solidly been staked his claim as like y'all ain't beating me, even if like the only people beating him was the Avengers for
Mm,
the most part, and Jordan feels like he's in between. So that's why if Noah has to run well to beat Jordan. I think we can all agree on that.
of course, yeah,
Like
he
there
has no
is
choice.
no like you can't play around like you did in like his heats in Tokyo.
No, I mean, yeah. No, you can't because even if just purely going on at least the clock from what we've seen this year so far, Jordan is already at least faster than Noah if we're just purely going on the clock. And then on top of that, like you said, Jordan has proven or he's gradually proving, okay, I'm kind of like taking out certain guys to work my way, closer and closer to the top, which includes, the Noah Lyles of the world. So yeah, like he's gonna have to work. He's gonna have to run. I think it will be interesting though, because if Jordan is able to take down Noah in this race and then, as he kind of moves forward through the year, I wonder what that does for both his motivation and then also going up against other guys, right? Because, he still has to take down like the Jamaican athletes, right? The obliques and the Kishanes and see, how he does against them. But beating Noah will be at least one step up the ladder of like that confidence booster. Whether or not he does beat Noah at a championships in the future, but just like doing it in a race right now, that will be like, okay, I can do this. Even if I think he believe I in his all his interviews, like he believes that he can do anything. He has like a ton of confidence, which I actually really, really like. But actually doing it is another thing, you know, that'll be like, okay, wow, I did it. Now I gotta go get, some other guys. So we'll see if he's able to. I think he's capable of like building up that foundation though.
Yeah, well, I mean, keep in mind he beat Kashane Thompson,
In his
and
60
yeah, but that matters because what's the weaker part of the race? Historically,
yeah,
it's been the last half. So if I'm Jordan Anthony, and remember Jordan Anthony can run a 200. We have yet to see a 200 from Kashane. Right now, we have yet to see Kashane. Period. For quite some time now because he was on start list and then not on those same lists. And
yep.
we get it. Stuff happens. Shout out to him. He had the world medal from this year. I mean, nobody can take that away from him. But the problem is indoor matters until outdoor happens. Like this is
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
structure of like not like again like the way things are set up. Trying to have two championships, quote unquote, two in the same year. Well, in this case, World Ultimate would be that second one.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, it's like you get up and then you come down and you gotta get up again. I mean, 'cause the NBA Cup, I mean, since I could like basketball examples, I still don't know what that thing is. Like, to this day, like, because it happens. Like, they go out there and they play in something that looks like a tournament, and then they have what looks like a championship, and then they give a trophy out, and they even give pay bonuses to the winners. But I still don't know what it means. Because the
Mhm.
NBA Finals, we know what that means.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Like, we I to this moment. So, I feel like World Indoor is in that same spot of, like, they give out medals, still don't really know what it means for your legacy.
That yeah, that's true. That's why I kinda say, like, okay, obviously Jordan beat out Kashane and Trayvon and everybody indoors, but I don't know if that means, okay, you're just automatically gonna beat out at least in, either of them or anybody, let's just say anybody in the 100 outdoors. He's building his way up, but it's a whole different conversation than what we see indoors versus outdoors. Because again, we say it we say it pretty often, and I I have to say all due respect, as always. Shout out to Jeremiah Azu, shout out to Lucky Kennedy, shout out to Akani Simbine. Like, listen, there's a lot of guys who have done very well indoors in certain circumstances, got medals, got gold medals. But when it comes to 100, it's a whole different beast. But
Yeah,
Jordan is at least showing a difference. He's building his way up. And now Noah is at least going to be his first real challenge of, okay, this is one of the guys. Like you said, not only an Avenger, like you're talking about the top of the top Avengers, right? Like you're an Olympic champ. Like as you just described, like the other Avengers, they are losing to Noah, right? Like that's a thing. So Jordan has to go up against that as we look
that's
forward.
true, but keep in mind the 100 has always been remember, Noah, the deadliest 100-meter runner we have. That doesn't make him the best.
Yeah,
His
yeah,
report
definitely,
doesn't say he's
definitely.
the best. He's not the most, like, bulletproof guy in that event,
No,
I
no.
mean, this whole generation has been, taking shots at everybody. Like nobody's actually just standing up and saying, "Come race me in 100." I mean, Jordan Anthony right now, as I look at this list of the fastest men in the world, like who've run thus far, if you ask me to pick a race today, and you tell me it's Jordan versus, I'm taking him because the name's ahead of him. I mean, Brian Lavelle, 990 on one end, and then you get 10.3 on the other. Not sure I can be confident there. I feel like Brian Lavelle, I had no confidence in Brian Lavelle until they tell me that there's medals on the line.
That's fair.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Like, because he's in the same bag with Let's until I see that they got medals and they got kits that look international on them. I am not putting any stock.
That's
The
fair.
the the more
Yeah.
low profile the race is, the more I might start to expect from him. Because I feel like you
Mm.
run more comfortable and whatever, especially when you get deeper into the season if we're using last year's evidence. But up until now, I have no confidence. Max Thomas, he's just been going full speed ahead.
Yeah,
I
he's
mean,
like
he just
he's
won the
almost
LA
operating
Track
like
Fest.
a yeah, I was gonna say he's almost operating like a college or high school student in the sense of like the mindset, like I'm new on the circuit, I'm fresh, I'm the person that no one is like really looking out for. I'm just going, blazing out and
Oh,
do
yeah,
whatever.
because he
Yeah, yeah,
ran
yeah.
before Tom Jones, then ran Tom Jones, then World's the World Relays, then I saw him at the LA Track Fest and won the 100 over there. I mean, that was a
Yeah.
slower meet in general.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, like,
yeah.
all the performances were slower, so I just was like, "I guess it was just a slow day for whatever the heat was in LA or however the track was. Maybe they
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
wash the
yeah.
track right. Maybe it rained too much, who knows?" So,
Yeah.
I just
But
threw the
yeah,
times out in my mind.
I'm not like picking Max over if I'm like saying, okay, Jordan and Max right now, like, I think we can all agree Jordan is the guy for the time being.
Yeah. Now, let's use Omanyala as a rabbit, for example. Like, no disrespect to him, but like, let's use him as like a measuring stick because Omanyala did win a Diamond League meeting in Xiamen with a whole bunch of folks. So before we get to those guys, let's deal with it this
Mhm.
way. Do you believe that if we put Noah over in Xiamen on that day, that he would have won?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Probably. Probably, yeah.
Because with 994 plus point 0.2 for Omanyala, 995 plus point 0.6 for Noah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Noah would've gotten the best of those guys because, like you said, he may not be the most talented on paper in the field, but he knows how to race, right? He knows how to compete. And I think if you're talking about they had those at least essentially negligible at the same time, then I'm picking Noah. Definitely,
Because he was
you
running a
know.
time trial in the back part of that race anyway, at that point.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
I would say he would have came and got him.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think Omanyala would have ran a little slower because Noah would have been coming to get him. That's what the
Mm,
sport tells me. Because remember, he got clear of the
mm,
field and then had enough confidence to be like, "I got them." That's what the
mm.
last 15 meters was for Omanyala in that race. I think it would not have been that because you can't be in a race with Noah Lyles, especially if your name is Ferdinand Omanyala, and expect that you getting clear of the field and you can just be like, because Shane knows this movie. He
Yeah.
literally lived this movie where it's like he thought he had everybody, but he didn't. So
Mm,
I think that's what you said this a while ago that Noah has this way to kind of control races.
yeah.
And I think what happens, I mean, Jordan Anthony might be impervious to it because he trains with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Uh,
why I don't cannot consider him to be as he trained with him and had the talent to actually go with him. Because a whole bunch of people train there. But I'm saying like the
mm,
talent to go with him at this level, it feels that way to me.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
And
mean,
this
so
is
yeah.
I was gonna say this is well, maybe not the first time, at least from my memory, but like Noah has a training partner in the 100 y who's, like, on his level, let's say that, right? Who's a real threat to his abilities in the 100 or to, like, beat him in any given race. So, to your point of, okay, he's with him every day, he's competing with him, and now when they go to the circuit, that's a different kind of thing that Noah has to deal with, that he's never I don't know, maybe in the past, but, like, I don't think he's ever dealt with this kind of talent before.
I think Noah's actually gonna be better in this next phase of his career than he would have otherwise without a Jordan Anthony. Like,
Mhm.
makes the most sense to me. That said, it might not be enough, especially in the 100.
Yeah,
Because
that
whatever
yeah.
secrets he got, those secrets is out the bag now. Like, could they do it? Could they do it on such a regular basis? Whatever secrets he has are no longer secrets.
Yeah, that's
They're
true.
so, and I say that, in quotation marks, but just like
Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
fear, because one of two things is going to happen if you train with somebody on a regular basis. Either A, you are going to internalize you're not good enough, or you are going to internalize just how vulnerable they actually are.
Mm,
Only one of the two ways. It's kind of hard for it to feel equal opportunity in the middle. And most sports, what's happening is the best athletes, the truly great ones, the ones who win like a lot at the highest levels, they're better than you all the time. They don't just
mhm.
wait till the time then the gun counts or the game matters to be better than you. They win all the drills. They win against their position in the weight room.
Yeah,
They
yeah, yeah.
like they just win, and that makes it so that when it's game time, it's like, why would I stop now?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I again, these athletes who pop up at certain times, I can't see them as world beaters. I just can't.
Mm,
I can see them as capable. I don't see them as world beaters. They're the guys who, on the right day with the right wind, with the uniform fitting just right, whatever it is, like all these little details that make you, and it might work. They might work, but you don't get to win multiple golds on the world stage in a row on accident. At
yeah,
that point, you
that
got a
yeah,
system,
yeah.
and you're adjusting your system based on what's happening.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
done yet.
yeah.
He's adjusting, but like I said, this year is gathering data for him. I said that, in our last episode. So, I mean, even the whole Jordan Anthony, him back and forth, like we get to look forward to Rome, maybe a nice little moment on the calendar for us to aspire to or, pay attention to. I mean, when the race is over, I mean, this video will likely be out, so if you're watching it now, you'll likely hear about it before, hear this before the race actually goes off. We brought up Omanyala. Now it's time for us to move to all the people who are behind him and John Man. Because there was a
Yeah.
bunch.
There's a couple,
No,
and
yeah.
well, I was gonna say there's a couple. I mean, and there's a couple different storylines. At least thinking on the American side, in that race, we saw, Trayvon Bromell, we saw Kenny B, and we saw Christian Coleman. All of them kind of like in different spots as it relates to that race. We also did see them run at the Shanghai Diamond League the week before. You know, I think there's some interesting storylines, that I don't know, from all of them, right? So I don't know. I guess we can maybe start with Kenny and what we're thinking about him because last year. So first off, he is in the realm of the Avenger type, right? Or he is one of the Avengers, definitely in the 200. And then over at least the past 2 years, 2024 and 2025, in the 100 as well, being able to make the Olympic final, being able to make the world final, ran 9.7 at USA's. But this year has looked very different than what we saw last year, where we know he was like tearing it up in Grand Slam track at the top of the year. He continued, carried that all the way through to USA's. But this year, so far, a little more mixed, right? At the, Shanghai Diamond League, he finished third place. He ran sub 10. So first individual race of the year, sub 10. But then, gets to the Xiamen Diamond League, runs 10:03, finishes fourth place behind a couple guys. I wonder what we think about Kenny so far. Because it's been, again, a little more mixed to start off 2026.
Well, I don't look at it as any real indication of what is gonna happen in the 200. I just kinda assume he'll be fine.
Yeah.
I think that's his real event, but this is interesting. I think Kenny wants very badly to be a top 100-meter guy because, as Noah Lyles said himself, there's no one who really cares about the 200. When we say nobody, I mean the American sports media doesn't care.
Hmm.
That's what I
Yeah.
mean, and he's an American, unfortunately. So if that's the case, like, it's just the extra event, it's the extra medal you're supposed to get if you're good at the 100. I think Bolt helped people to see it that way, whether that was
Mm.
intentional or not. It just kind of felt like the gifted medal. So for that reason, in the 100, he's last year was on one, that's how it felt. and he did win
Yeah.
USA's. Keep in mind it was Courtney Lindsay and it was T
T
Mars
Mars. Yep.
behind him. I mean, yet Trayvon and Christian were in that race, but if you had told me it's going to be T Mars and Courtney Lindsay, I wouldn't have.
No.
Nobody had that as coming with him. So he wins USA's in that year, but did he? He still has a lot to prove. I mean, he even had great worlds. I mean, we got the fourth, but I mean, like he lost to the guys plus an oblique is now a guy because he's the gold medalist. Like, and he had been perennially like in these finals. So all that being said, I mean, it just kind of feels like he's with the crowd, and I mean, he may emerge from the pack. I mean, last year it looked like he already had. You see
Hmm.
what I'm saying? I think that's the confusion part. So that's why I'm asking you, um, what level do you put Kenny B in the 100 at based on everything he's done? Because if you're judging all these guys based on everything they've done, he is with the pack. Just being real.
Yeah, yeah,
So the
yeah,
only
yeah.
thing you'd have to be going off of is recency bias to move him away from the pack. Because any of these names you pick of the guys who he's racing with in these meets, in theory, he's just on their level.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say he's in general a level above most of the guys that he's racing in the 100 because he's he's gotten fourth place at Worlds, and he only lost to Oblique, Kashane, and Noah. He won USA's in not a slouch time, right? He literally beat out everyone possible outside of Noah. Um, so that gives him a lot of status there, and he did it in 2024 to make the Olympic team to Paris, and he made the Olympic final, which was one of the greatest finals in terms of just like the depth and how close that was. So I think Kenny has proven himself to a degree on the circuit. So like if I'm looking at Fernando Manyala, he just won the race. Like I'm not picking Fernando when we get to a championships. I'm not picking Omanyala over Kenny B. I think Kenny B has proven himself enough where it's like, okay, I'm able to be much better than someone like an Omanyala. Even to a degree, well, I guess it's mixed. I was going to say someone like Letsile. Obviously, Letsile has a medal at World Champs, and these circuit races, like you said, we can't even. They mean nothing for him. But Letsile, he shows up at championships. But I think Kenny, when it comes to 100, he's maybe starting to separate a little bit, from someone like Letsile. Maybe even Akani. I think maybe Kenny Akani, finishing again fourth, fifth, et cetera, et cetera. So I think he's in the upper pack, but just below that like top tier, the oblique, Kashane, and Noah guys, right? That's where I feel like Kenny is.
Yeah, but are
He
we
has a
just saying that
talent. I don't
off of
know.
last year? I mean, like, is there any can you give me any evidence that's not last year to put him in that spot?
I mean, I think 2024 also proved it. The fact that he made the Olympic team and made the Olympic final as well. That to me is a pretty big deal. And he's run 9.8s. He's run 9.7, 9.79. And even if it was, early in the season, he was beating out guys like Oblique, like Zarnell, right? Like he was and beating out Fred, right? He was beating out guys who were very consistent on the circuit across the board. So there's like different pieces of evidence to me that prove okay, he's in that 100-meter conversation.
Okay, because Trayvon in 2024 was still not really healthy yet.
Yeah, I mean last year he was though,
Yeah,
right?
last year he was. The year before, that's what I said. I'm skipping past that. I'm looking at the other years. 2024 on back. I'm like, because I'm trying to determine how much of what I'm feeling is recency bias. You see what I'm saying? Like, because he had a
Mm,
season, right? And I'm gonna say something like for the people like to kind of clarify the full thought of the picture of what I'm thinking here. So here's the full thought. The unedited version of this thought is that I expect, since we just dealt with the enhanced gains foolishness or
mm,
experience or whatever that was. I mean, I personally think that the way the meet played out was probably an epic fail in terms of like the performances themselves, the races, the times, whatever. Like this went as epically bad as it possibly could have went for the people who organized them running 100 meters under that designation. But my point is this: athletes in our sport who actually deal with adversity and see ups and downs, it further confirms to me they're doing it the right way.
mm.
like when you're super bulletproof for any real stretch of time, that opens up questions. And then somebody will say in the comments, well, what about your Noahs and so on? I'm like, he's different for this reason. He was better than you at 17. He was better than you at 18. He was better than you at 19. By the time he was 19, he was better than you at 25. You see what I'm saying? Like, that's why he's different. And he's not bulletproof in 100. He's not.
Yeah, nah.
You take a lot of L's in the 100, but he still be figuring out how to win when it matters.
When it matters, yep.
And I started figuring it out. Like, it ain't like he's not bulletproof. He ain't win last year. But in the 200, that's been different because that's been his thing from 2019 till now. Like, that's a lot. And even then, he's been getting slower.
Mhm.
Like, just to clarify, even that confirms that you're not just on one, or whatever it is. So what I'm saying is Kenny had a hot year. And he had a really hot year, and we all thought it was likely gonna culminate with a medal. It didn't. So now that it didn't, and now we're in this year, is that who he was, or was that a hot year? Because somebody else is trying to have a hot year now. That's the point. And, is he gonna do exactly the same things as he was doing last year, or a version? I feel like we're looking at a version. We already started off on a version. And, like, I guess that's what I'm saying, like, because remember, he doesn't just train alone, he trains with Christian Coleman. And I'm right now trying to compare, like, not to shift the focus, how much of Christian Coleman's season this year in the first few races looks different than what it was last year in the first few races.
Yeah.
Like, I'm actually looking it up because I'm like, all right, well, what was that season and what is this season? So I know if I'm looking at anything different.
Yeah. I mean, well, for well, what I'm thinking about, at least for the only thing I'll say with Kenny before even thinking Christian is that I think Kenny, I personally think the reason I do give a little bit more kudos to Kenny is because he's proven himself in the 200, and I think that holds some weight when we look at the 100 because it's not like he's proven in the 200 and then he drops down to the 100 and there's like no talent there, right? Like it's not like he's running 9.9s across the board and that's it in the 100, right? Like he's actually running 9.8s, he's run 9.7, and he has the experience of being at global championships, making it into finals in the 100 and in the 200. Like he's essentially run the table except for, getting a gold. Like he's been able to prove himself at the Olympics and the world champs. So there's some credit of being able to compete when it actually does matter, when the pressure is on the line, right? When a medal is actually on the line versus some of the other athletes like, Omanyala, like Akani Simbine, right? Who've been in those situations, but haven't been able to actually translate that into medals. So that's why I give Fred, and like, even to your point where you said this, we expected him in a sense to get a medal, but he didn't get a medal, but only to the people that we expected to get medals, right? Like there's only 3 medals that could be given out. So that's why I'm like, I give some credit to Kenny. Now, who knows how things will kind of continue, but it's hard for me to like take Kenny completely out the conversation or keep him like lower because he just has that talent and he has proven in some capacity at the global championships. But to be fair, like there still is work to do in the 100.
Oh, yeah. Trayvon got a world medal in 2022. He did.
Mm-hmm.
2023, he was dealing with injuries. Again, we're comparing
Yeah.
him and Christian Coleman, and we'll talk more about him in a moment. But using their careers as benchmarks because they are the Avenger-esque fringe guys, the guys who've had medals on the world stage and done it in years where it was either they had the gold or if they didn't, you had to have a guy who was American in front of them, so the rest of the world was behind them. So in Christian Coleman's case, 2024, I still feel like here's the question. Here's a really important one. If Christian Coleman had gotten that last spot for USA instead of Fred, we know Fred gets the bronze, but now just remove him. Take him out
Mm-hmm.
and put Christian Coleman in instead. How far is Christian Coleman going to go in that Olympic final?
In the final,
Because he's going to be in that final. I mean, I think everybody will believe that off
yeah,
what
yeah,
that
yeah,
season
yeah,
looked like.
yeah. I mean, it's so it's so hard to predict, but he would have been, well, and yeah, if you remove Fred, I guess he would have been in the like he would have been somewhere from, in my opinion, probably somewhere between fourth. and I guess eighth. Like everyone, and not to say eighth was like bad. Like everyone was
Remember,
super
Fred
super
is
close.
gone. Fred was third, and he doesn't count because he's the guy who would have missed. So
Yeah.
if you remove him, somebody has to get a bronze medal. And right now, Akani is that guy. So who you taking, Christian Coleman or Akani?
What's crazy is I think I would take Akani. I think that would have been the time Akani got a medal. I'm not fully confident, and this is obviously in hindsight, but I'm not fully confident that Christian would have gotten a medal at the Olympics, only because then I see kind of like what happens after, in a sense that he didn't make the team again in 2025, right? So, and also what happened before, where 2023 he was on that team. He had to make the team, and he made it. He was there, but he got fifth place, if I remember correctly, at the World Champs in 2023. So it's like I'm seeing both sides of what happened before the Olympics and after the Olympics at Global Championships. He didn't make it in 25. He was there and missed the podium in 23. So it's tougher for me to say just in this
You mean,
stage of his career.
yeah, you're right, Toya. He was there and didn't make the podium, right?
Yeah. So at this stage of his career, that's why I'm like, it's tougher for me to say, okay, he definitely would have been on that podium in 2024.
That's
So
fair. Yeah, I'm
that's
looking
why
back
I'm,
at the season
uh,
now to see where he landed, and I think you're correct that that bronze still wouldn't have been him.
yeah, it's
Because
it's
I'm
tricky.
looking at what that USA final was as a benchmark, and then like or that USA championship for that matter, like all the performances, and now it leads me to the place of like, all right, it does kind of feel like that's where he is. So, 'cause, like, I needed to, like, have a schema of, like, what have we actually been witnessing from 2022 till now? Because Christian Coleman maintained his adventures, or I won't say maintains. He earned his adventure status based off of 2019.
Yeah.
Like, that's where and even 2017, like, that's what put him in
Hmm.
that base of Avenger status. Yeah,
Yeah.
beating the world, only an American got me. He did that multiple times. And then when he comes and we're throwing out indoor because we don't know what it means in the grand scheme right now. And
Yeah.
now you move to what this is, and it becomes kind of like this mixed bag, this kinda confusion point, if you will.
Yeah. That's where it's, I think Christian is just in a very tough spot because I can imagine, like, I mean, we just have to be honest. These past, these two races at the start, they haven't looked great. Like they really just haven't looked great for Christian. Like he's been finishing in the back of the pack. He hasn't gotten. I'm not seeing like that Christian Coleman start where he's like explosive and
It
he's
looked
able to at
better in the
least
second one, though, in
did
John
look better. But
240.
again, you're talking about Christian Coleman, like arguably, some people could argue the greatest starter, in one of the greatest starters definitely in history. So that's where it's tough. Now, I could imagine Christian getting to USA's or probably getting to even Ultimate Championships and being in the conversation, running, 9.8 by that point, because he did that, last year, despite not looking great early on. But it's just getting very tricky as kind of like the not only a new generation, but another new generation starts to come in. Because Kenny and Noah, they didn't exist before when Christian was dominating in terms of the 100, right? Like Noah
Yeah, that's
wasn't,
true.
at least at the championships. I know Noah, he was on the circuit and, he actually beat Christian a few times, like on the circuit. But when it comes to like USAs and championships, like Noah essentially didn't exist yet. And then Kenny didn't exist. So this is a whole new generation. Now we're talking about Jordan Anthony. That's another new generation that, and add in the Courtney Lindsay's, right, who beat out, him. So that's where it's getting tough. I personally see Christian still potentially getting better. Like I could imagine Christian running a 9.7 this year, like a random kind of like 9.79 this year. But it's tough for me to see just based on the landscape. Like, okay, Christian is going to make Team USA and get on the podium. It can happen for sure, but it's just getting tougher and tougher as the
Well,
years go on.
World Ultimate, don't they let in the fastest, 16 or how are they choosing who's getting there again?
Yeah, it's just top 16 off world rankings. I actually think Christian will be there because as long as you're running these diamond leagues, you're racking up points. Like you're probably, and actually I think because he won the diamond league title last year. So he's
Yeah.
actually already starting on a high, like he has a pretty high ranking. So he'll probably be at World Ultimate Championships. But then, like we said, you're probably going to have Noah, Jordan, Oblique is probably going to, figure things out there. Like all these guys are going to be there. Like literally everyone we're
Yeah.
talking about. So
I'm looking back. So to clarify, from 2025 season till now, his two races, because he ran Shanghai and Xiamen last year.
yeah,
And like we're also looking at like where those meets fell in the calendar. Seiko Golden Grand Prix. Basically, he ran like this guy you just saw all the way through the USAs.
interesting.
And at
Mm,
USAs, the times came down, and he had about a month almost between the last race and that one to kind of deload. So
mm,
if we want to start being a little bit more technical, that's what I think. If this is where we're starting, that's how it's going to end. It's going to end at 9-8 with a really good wind in Eugene, or 9-9. And remember, his Diamond League final was roughly, yeah, inconsistent with that. It just
mm,
wasn't Eugene, and it wasn't the same wind. And that's what pushes it closer to the back to that 10-0 again. So
interesting.
this is what it is. Like, so when you say I can imagine 979, I'm gonna say I can't. I'm gonna say I'm being honest with myself. I'm being honest. That I don't see the math, the numbers, the history, the performances, the competition taking me down that path. I don't see that. I see it taking me to a similar place where he might be able to win a Diamond League final depending on who actually decided to run it.
Mm,
And I see him mixing it up at USA's and giving it a good show. I mean, T-Mars ain't running well right now. Just since he's name droppable, like he's in the name drop crowd. He didn't make the SEC 100-meter final. So
man, all due respect to T Mars, but like, man, until I see something that's a flash in the pan. That was like, yeah, I don't
he had to no, he had a script. Like the NCAA's ended, and then he
Oh yeah,
had
that's
just
true. That's
he was just
true.
on one. Like that boy had an
That's true.
amazing wave of races,
Oh man,
and it just was funny because we didn't have that in the NCAA season from him. That's why when
yeah,
he goes on that tear, it's not like he was the NCAA champion, or even I don't even think he went top 3 at the
no,
NCAA's indoor to outdoors, and the 60's never really been his thing anyway.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
mean,
I mean, for what it is. So
yeah,
this
yeah,
year, as far as like SEC conference, I mean, regionals is coming. Like he has not been a factor. Like,
nah,
again, in the finals factor.
yeah, yeah.
So I mean, but he was wearing red, white, and blue last year. So I'm
Hey,
just saying, like that moves everybody up a spot if he's not there, because normally we expect the guys to knock you out. Courtney Lindsay is the next guy. We saw him at Tom Jones. He looked fine.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
he didn't look great, but he didn't look like that.
yeah. That's true. It's true.
So and they're training together.
Mm,
So I'm judging off of like Kenny B. We saw him last year. His first race last year, his first race this year was roughly similar quality. His second race, he stumbled out of the blocks and never really salvaged it. I mean, he didn't catch a Miramar Miami wind.
yeah, yeah,
Like he didn't
yeah.
like again, because I think Kenny runs differently if he can get free and clear of the field. Like when
Mm,
that does happen, then like the confidence he exudes and the ease and everything, like when he's running from behind, I mean, and actually that's a valid point. Can anybody, I mean, tell me, do you remember a 100-meter race where Kenny was not in the front and then won that race at 50?
not not off the top of my head.
Not in the front at 70 even.
Yeah, I mean, not that I could.
50, 70, have you ever not been up there by that point?
Not that I could think of. I mean, in the Shaman race, he kind of didn't look that great. He almost looked like he was, just from memory, like he was going backwards a little bit. Like he didn't execute the second half.
He stumbled his block, stumbled out of the blocks.
Okay, so he
So then his, like,
stumbled,
race plan kinda, got tossed a little bit,
just went out
and
the
he had to
window.
kinda, like, catch up, and he did. Like, he ran down
Yeah,
Trayvon and to almost get him. They ran the same time down to the 100th, it's just that Trayvon got it on the 1,000th.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
Trayvon looked like he had the best start in theory, and then
Yeah,
it
he looked the
started to
best from the
fade.
gun. Yeah.
So, which brings up where does he land right now? And because he's, again, had a lot of adversity, like, ups and downs through his career.
Hmm.
But where is he right now in the mix of what this is? Well, first, do you expect him to be at World Ultimate? Or at least, well, let me take that back. We don't even know who wants to go. Do we expect
Yeah,
him to be eligible to go? Let me rephrase that.
yeah, I think he'll be eligible to go. I think the thing is, and this is just by nature of World Ultimate, like if you're running the Diamond League races, you're going to rack up enough points. If you ran Diamond League races last year, you probably are in a good position entering this year. And then now, if you started off this year running Diamond League races, you're probably going to be in a good position. So it's very likely a lot of the guys we've seen already are probably going to be at World Ultimate Championships because none of the NCAA, like running NCAA, like, shout out to Eddie and all them, like running 9-7, Wendy's and stuff. Like, those aren't getting you points for the system that World Athletics has created. Like, you got to be at the Diamond League. So I expect Trayvon, Christian, and Kenny, and then also everyone else, Ferdinand and let's see, like they're all probably going to be there. But and maybe this is a question, but so Trayvon, I think Trayvon has a lot more upside as it stands right now. So just in, obviously we're just talking about Christian. Trayvon obviously ran better at these past two Diamond League races, right? He was closer to the front. He's coming off probably, at least on paper, his best indoor season ever. Forget that he didn't get gold, but like the fact that he ran his personal best, he ran consistently, 6.4s. I think he'll probably be in a very good position as the outdoor season, progresses. But I guess the question is, like, do we think he'll be in a better position than Christian Coleman? Like, do we see Trayvon having a better shot at like either running faster or like being, whatever it is, top three, top four, in terms of like the higher competitors compared to like a Christian Coleman who, again, in the past was a world champion, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Mm. You think so?
I mean, that simple answer, yes.
Well, okay. Well, why do you think so? Why do you think so?
Because I mean, what we've seen so far, what we saw last year and what we saw now. The difference is that so this is what happened to Trayvon last year, as far as I
Mhm.
understand it. Like he came into the season, ran like kind of like a 100 like off in the middle of nowhere in terms of like sprint series type thing.
Mhm,
Then
mhm,
comes to Rome and lights the world on fire. Like, it's
mhm.
kind of like his I'm back moment.
Yeah,
From that point on, he's in some really hot fields. And I mean, he's competitive, but not, not taking down those fields. I
yeah,
mean, whether it's Prefontaine, like he's mixing it up. He's just not taking them
yeah,
down. And
yeah.
then he goes to USA's, and again, like I said, Courtney Lindsay and T-Mar slide up in there. Christian Coleman got up right near him by that
Mhm.
point. 'Cause that was the moment when he kind of came up. But this year, Trayvon is 4th and 3rd in these Diamond League meetings. And I'm comparing him to where Kenny is. So if we ain't gonna panic about Kenny, we can't panic with him,
Yeah,
right?
that's true. That's
Because keep in
true.
mind, this is not on, like, for what this season is. He's not where he was in Rome last year.
Mhm.
So there's no reason to be expecting it to look like that yet.
Yeah.
Because nobody looks like that yet.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
nobody in
yeah.
the world looks like
Nobody
that
is running nine
yet.
eights yet.
So, like, at this point, if you're running 997, 96, I think 996. If you hit mid nines, you're in good shape if you did
Mhm.
that by now. And the only person who's done it, who's supposed to be it's only 2 people who we think will be players, one based on real history and the other one on projection, is Noah and Jordan. Everybody else is people who are mixing it up. Like, even Andre DeGrasse, nobody's expecting him to do anything in the 100 this year because we haven't seen him do
Oh,
anything in the
yeah,
100
yeah,
for
yeah.
so long.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
he might wanna make a comeback, and he might do it, and if so, we'll just shrug our shoulders and be like, "Hey, that's Andre." But what I'm
Yeah, yeah,
saying
yeah.
is we're not banking on it because too much time has passed where he became like a non-factor for us to now just throw him back in there. And I guess the difference between Trayvon and Christian Coleman is Christian Coleman is in that same boat where too much time has passed for us to
Mm.
continue to put you in the same conversation. We just remember that there was the time when.
Mm.
But like
Man.
Trayvon, it's not been that long. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
remember seeing a 9-8 world lead on the diamond from you recently. I remember seeing a world championship medal from you in a race where Christian Coleman competed
Yeah, 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 yeah.
between back then and now. You see what I'm saying? Like there's been and a world indoor medal, since, I mean, I don't know if we really count that because Christian
Yeah.
Coleman did have a very successful indoor in 2024. But I mean, I guess Christian Coleman, I look at him differently because of the coaching switch. And
Mm,
what I think that represented for his career was like out with the old, in with the new. So it's like this version of Christian Coleman. 'Cause since that coaching switch, ain't nobody seen the same start since. Because he's clearly running the races
mm.
differently. Am I missing that? Because I refuse to believe he just got shot in the leg and just got slower in the beginning. So something actually happened where he's now transitioning how he sprints for long term benefit. We just haven't yet reaped the benefits. It might happen though.
Yeah.
Because trust me, I ain't the coach. I coach sprinters, but I ain't coach at that high level. I'm sure that, Dennis Mitchell and them know things I don't know. That's not the point.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
just judging the races as we got them.
Yeah, it's what we can see. It's what we could see. I guess the only reason I think of like Christian Coleman, even Trayvon, to your point, Trayvon, we've seen at least more data and high quality data more recently between, fast time league races, winning races, and then also winning medals, or at least, 2022 getting on the podium. So more recent. But I think I'm it's hard for me to start to count out an athlete or to start to really like count out any athlete, especially like Trayvon and Christian are the same age. They're both 30 years old. Trayvon, he went pro earlier, so it's like, okay, he seems a little bit older, but they're the exact same age. So I feel like there's still room to improve. Especially as we look at like athletes now as they're pushing into their early 30s and even their mid 30s, some of them into their early mid 30s and stuff like that. So there's a world where I can see Christian getting back to a 979 or something, or maybe who knows, maybe even faster, but like just a sub 98. That is not too far fetched to me. Now, getting on the podium or like, a world ultimate champs and all that stuff, like doing that's a whole different discussion because of how it is right now. Similar for Trayvon. As talented as Trayvon is, and as like how he's still mixing it up, it's still hard for me to say, okay, you're gonna get to the championships and actually beat out Oblique, Kashane, Noah, maybe even Jordan, right? Like it's tougher, but I still think there's a capabilities of getting back to that talent. Even Trayvon dealt with all these different injuries, he's one of the most famous athletes that have dealt with like some serious injuries, but he's still been able to kind of come back. So that's where I'm like holding out. I look at Trayvon and Christian, not necessarily similarly, but just an idea that they've been here for a while and they still have the potential to like get back, maybe not fully to their old selves, but at least to some semblance where it's like, okay, wow, okay. I remember that Christian from 2018, 2019, maybe.
I'm okay. This is how I'm gonna go off of like, how people talk about the eye test
Yeah.
in sports. That's what they say. Sometimes where we don't even get all data and all that stuff. Eye test with Trayvon Bromell across the season tells me this. This is how I feel on like the expectations. I expect them to go off like a bomb at some point. Like there'll be a race where it's like, oh, that's Trayvon. He's going to run confident. He's going to run strong. He's going to run well. The clock is going to reflect it. He's going to, like all that's going to happen at some point. I don't know when. I couldn't tell you exactly. I feel like we're
Hmm.
getting closer to it somewhere in about a month ish, or a rougher, give or take.
Yeah.
I feel like the bomb is coming. From there, the next thing that you have to watch for is whether or not, and it feels like rolling dice, to be quite frank, on whether he's going to come with the precision to then take what that supernova moment was and then dial it in a big race. When the big race comes, I feel like we're rolling dice.
Hmm.
But you know it when you see it. Because when you see it before the final. At which point the question in the final is he the most talented, most on it guy in this race? And that remains to be seen. So it's like only the guys who now have his talent are eligible to beat him when he's dialed in, but they're still eligible. Because using World Indoor as the measuring stick, the man ran a great race.
Yeah.
And you needed to get people with top tier talent who also went out there and executed to beat him. Are
Yeah.
we going to get that this year at a USA's or some other event of that nature? I know, everybody had their season, the things going on, like schedules and, priorities and so on and so forth. So, I mean, this year is a little different.
Yeah.
But if we just assumed for a moment it was USA's or a World Ultimate or something of that nature, I don't know. Like, maybe it will, maybe it won't, but I know it's possible. Christian Coleman is not that.
Mm,
I just don't it's different. With him, he was a world beater. And then he went from a world beater to a member of the Chase Pack. There was a
man.
time when he had the reputation while he was fading back. And then think of it
Mm,
another way. If you are this new generation of young sprinters, these high school boys we be seeing, and you see Christian Coleman in a race with you scared?
I mean,
Because
we.
think like
Yeah.
somebody who, remember, the last time he was a world beater, you was in middle school.
Yeah.
You was playing
Yeah.
Pop Warner. So what I'm saying is that
Yeah.
generation hasn't witnessed it. You see what I'm saying? They haven't seen it. There's something that somebody has to show them on a clip. The
hmm
uniforms don't even look the same now.
hmm
Like USA don't even wear kits that look like that. The spikes ain't even the same spikes. Like everything changed from then till now. You see what I'm saying? Like I'm not. I don't mean it as how put it. I mean it with the level because Christian Coleman is always going to have a Russell Westbrook syndrome complex. Westbrook
mm,
put a level of performance on the board that was so painstakingly high. So we had to evaluate him based off of it because he wasn't
yeah.
just an MVP. He led the league in player efficiency rating when he did it. That means you were the baddest man on a basketball court for an entire season. So from now on, the rest of his career, he was being evaluated next to the measuring stick he gave us. So the greatest credit I can give Christian Coleman is that he gave us an insanely high measuring stick. There's a bunch of people he never did that. Kanye ain't never did it. Since we're gonna use names, I'm gonna use names. He ain't
Mm,
never did it. Ferdinand Omanyala ain't never did it. That's why we don't talk about him like that. Because he never like you gotta hit those peaks first before we can even care. Like,
yeah.
am I getting that crazy? Like that's part of the Christian Coleman debate
Yeah,
is
that makes
the
sense.
standard he gave us? Because it was an
That makes
insanely high
sense.
standard. 2017,
Yeah,
2019, that
it
was
was
an
crazy.
insanely high standard. He was there.
He was the guy. Like, we have to be honest. Like, he was essentially, post 2017, because obviously Gatlin beat him at Worlds. But like after that, he was the guy. Like that was it. He ran like even 2018. It's like really 2018. He started off, won the world indoor gold, broke the world record a whole bunch of times, and then he ran 9.7 outdoors. Gets to 2019, runs 9.7 again, and it's like, yeah, he's the guy. So it makes sense. And then to your point, like once he comes back from his ban, he's like still in that conversation of like, okay, the guy is back. What is this going to look like? Unfortunately, hasn't been able to pan out. So as years go down, it's like, okay, is he still holding on? And to your point of, because I just remembered the high school kids last year, Maurice Gleaton was in a race with him and actually beat him. And it was like, to your point, he was in, I don't know, he was in middle school, when he was, you know, when Christian Coleman was the guy. So there's actually a direct comparison in a sense. I guess I'm just like, I can't say like anything can happen. I'm at the point where I'm like, anything can happen. So it wouldn't surprise me if Christian Coleman was able to get back to some good form. Again, doesn't mean he's going to be world beater, best in the world form, but like I can see it happening where, after, because this would be, 2 full years of him with, Dennis Mitchell and the whole change of coach and everything. I can imagine, okay, year 2 and 3, I'm now locked in. I understand what's going on and I'm more comfortable. Now I'm going to start rolling.
Yeah. But when you say anything can happen, I actually don't I'm gonna push that logic a little bit. Can anything really happen? Because history doesn't tell me that anything can happen. History tells me a very limited number of things could actually happen based off of who's good and who's not.
Yeah, not anything. To be clear, I'll be very clear. Like, I don't think, based on what we see now, I can't pick Christian Coleman to win a gold medal based on the landscape of things, especially as I spoke about like the different generations that have kind of come up already, both from the United States and Jamaica. But I can see Christian Coleman. I would not put it past Christian Coleman making a team and getting a medal at a global championships moving forward at some point. Again, I'm not making that prediction right now, but it wouldn't surprise me if that happened over the next 2 to 3 years in this next Olympic cycle. He's talented. Like
Oh yeah,
he's a
no, no, I'm
talented
not
athlete.
saying that it can't happen, but
Yeah.
let me be very clear about what I am saying. If you stuck around this long in the video, we already know you're a real one. Shout out to you. But if you made it this far, so you'll get the context. If the comments is gonna be littered with a bunch of people who ain't make it this far.
Yeah.
I mean, shout out to y'all too, because you commented to share with more people. But still, we would appreciate it if you actually get to hear me say this part, which is in 2025, I now have a full kit of data under a specific training program on how he developed. So far,
Hmm.
2026 is showing me more or less the same. Whatever that they're working on, maybe he's going to figure it out. Because I'm pretty sure that 2025 wasn't the plan. I'm pretty sure that
Mm.
2026 is trying to carry that plan forward, meaning we're not giving up on it.
Yeah.
We're going to continue to push the needle forward and see if we can get things to click. I get that. However, so far, it ain't clicking. It might click sooner rather than later. But remember, I'm
Hmm.
judging the other people in his training group. This is the catch. Kenny B ain't looking like this. Courtney Lindsay ain't looking like this.
Yep. Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So because I have other people to go off of in that group of I can see like their talent levels and use that equivalently. And we know that he was what his talent was. It would be disingenuous for me to pretend these performances are acceptable. If
Mm.
those are the guys in your group with the same coach, you're a different athlete, but the same coach, and we can see what they look like. So clearly something's not clicking yet. It
Yeah.
might. And it very well might. 2027, maybe it clicked by then. But if that's the truth, then when we're looking at these races in 2027, like roughly this same bag of races, we will see
Yeah.
different evidence. It could explode. He could pop. But I'm also went back to what did 2024 look like under a different system? And that is also what informed. Maybe I'm just hoping for something rather
Yeah.
than there's real reason to believe that it's because that's what I said with Trayvon. His report has been there's going to be a supernova moment. We just don't know if that's coming back in the championship
Yeah.
as because if it does, you'll know it in the early stages. Oh, he's running confident and he's taken that, bottled it up, and he's packaging it here. Now, is that going to be enough? Because there's going to be somebody else who's also running hot.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
see what I'm saying? Because that's because when you say anything can happen, my first thought was historically in sprinting and in other sports, football, basketball, which are team sports. Even in those team sports, this is really important. In team sports, anything cannot happen. There's only a few people in the league who actually determine who's going to win a championship in the NFL or the NBA. In the NFL, it's normally quarterback driven. So if you have Tom Brady or Pat Mahomes, for the most part, over the last 20 years, almost half the championships are now gone because you had one of those two men. After that, you need to have the chase pack, the guys who ain't them, but are almost them. And now, if you had one of them, you might have a shot. You might be able to pick 1 year in the last 2 decades where that was true. In the NBA, it's a very similar bag. We're in a team sport with 5 people out there. There's only a small group of people who actually determine who's winning these titles. Like,
Yeah.
that's what it is. And it's like, wait a minute. So you can have all these people, all these draft picks, everything. At the end of the day, did you have LeBron? No. Do you have Giannis? No. Do you have Kawhi? Like, it's actually not a long list. And when you look
Yeah.
back at the history, so in sprinting, it's basically been the same thing.
Yeah.
There's only a few
Yeah.
people who really are going to be there. And that's why Noah's been on the tear, just running through all these worlds in the 200. Because let's be real. And like the guys who's running with him, it's been Kenny and Lizzie. And for the most part, they've just been mixing it all up with each other over the last few years now, right? Brian, that's why it was a big deal when Brian Lavelle joined them. Because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
because he joined the pack. That was the key. They went and he said, I'm going with y'all.
Yeah.
A bunch of other people tried. And they might have even ran fast for who they were.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just
Yeah.
wasn't able to go fast enough to go with the pace.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's true. I think the only thing I think with sprinting though, at least comparison in terms of like the like team sports, this is very individual. Where sure, Christian is training with Courtney and Kenny and all them, but at the end of the day, like it's still an individual sport. Like he doesn't need he technically doesn't need Kenny or Courtney to do well for him to do well, or vice versa. So it's still like, all right, you just got to line up and run the race that you're given based on your skills and your talent. So that's why I'm like, not to the absolute extreme, anything can happen, but like I just can't count out any athlete who was at some point one of the best. I have a hard time counting them out until they're actually like, over the hill in a sense. Like they're completely done. Because I've seen too many times where athletes have been able to come back and be right back in contention in some capacity, even if they're at, and again, Christian Coleman, Trayvon Bromell, same thing. It's like they're not older athletes, especially in this current generation where it's like you can be in your early 30s and still compete. So that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
and I'll see.
See, I'll frame here's before we close, I'll frame it another way. If those supernova moments happen on either end, here's the difference on how my brain processes the moment. When Trayvon does it, especially let's say he, gets a gold medal, whether it's,
Mm.
Next year Worlds or whatever it is. For me, the sentiment will be finally. Like the
Mhm.
talent's always been there. We've been waiting all this time, and it just finally came together because it was just so many things that went left in all these other directions. But if Christian Coleman does it, it'll be he's back. It won't be finally. It'll just be he's back.
Interesting.
You see the
Mm.
difference? That's what Russell
Interesting.
Westbrook syndrome does. Because with one, it's he could do it, but can he? And the other is, and notice we don't talk about him the same way. But for Christian Coleman, it's he's back. Because unless he's going, like, if he runs 9.77 this year, it still says the exact same thing on the thumbnail. He's back. It ain't even, we notice, 9.77, don't even throw a party. The party is, oh, he came back. He's here
Mm.
again. You see what I'm saying? So, like, everything I'm framing is in that context because I'm realizing, I'm trying to actively separate the two now because for a long time, I blended who he
Yeah.
was and what we were getting, and now I'm like, I'm being unfair in
Mm.
projecting who he was on who he is.
Yeah.
You know
No.
what I mean? It's almost like an athlete who came back, like, it's almost like he had like, the band might as well be injuries. I mean, it's not, but it might as well be as
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't come back as the same person post-surgery as you was before.
Mm.
You might, because I mean, the way one athlete described it, I mean, I had an Achilles surgery, like, you have to learn how to play the game different. You might still be able to be effective, but you can't do it the way you used to do it. The results might be similar, but it doesn't feel the same. I think Christian Coleman's career at this point is like, he might get similar results, but it will never feel the same as it once did.
Yeah, no, of course, of course. It's a whole different generation. It's a whole different landscape right now. So, mm.
Yeah, so
So the women's sprints have been pretty interesting over the past few weeks. We've seen a few Diamond League races go down, and I think at least two primary names that everyone has kind of had on their radars are Sha'Carri Richardson, world champion in 100 from 2023. Also got the bronze medal in the 200 that year as well, Olympic silver in the 100. And also Shericka Jackson, two-time world champion in the 200, multiple medals at Worlds and all that stuff. Now, both of them were in the same races at the Diamond Leagues. Shericka Jackson, she got the best of, the entire fields in the 200, running, 21.87 in her most recent run. Sha'Carri Richardson, little bit in the middle of the pack, I think finishing, fourth place both times. A little, 22.3, I think was her best. So I think there's two kind of storylines, and then everyone else is also in there. Gabby was running well. Julien, put a fast time down. Elaine, she's been running the 100. But with those two, because I feel like if we just look back to 2023, that was kind of like the head to head in a sense. Shericka Jackson, Sha'Carri Richardson, and then since then they both haven't looked like themselves in any capacity. Obviously, Sha'Carri has gotten medals at the Olympics, but I wonder what we're looking at right now in terms of, the sprints overall, with those two kind of in focus and then everyone else kind of like bouncing off them as well. What do you think?
Well, you got to start with Shericka because she's the one who announced herself as, the return.
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
2187, I looked at the world list, and I mean, everything's in context. You got Julien Alfred, 2186, her 2187, and Gabby 2189.
Yep.
So they're all right there in that like top group. Those are your three medalists, like at the top. If you're talking 2024, 1-2 without Shericka there, and
Yep.
then Shericka on top 2023.
Yep.
So it's consistency wise, that's that. We're throwing out 2025 for the purposes of argument, based because Melissa hasn't run yet.
Melissa
So
hasn't run anything. Yeah.
so when I'm looking back and like saying to what we are now, Shericka in the past, I mean, again, it's this time of the year, but what I'm saying is in the past, her best self left them in the like went to a different stratosphere. Am I
Yeah.
wrong? That's what happened.
Yeah.
So for now, it's like, okay, she's again, I've said it before. On her career graph, I don't know where she is. Because it's a hard sport. That's another thing. People be talking about this sport as if like you could run for forever and we got the do you know how hard it is to stay mentally locked in year to year? So I don't know how much somebody even desires to keep training and putting their body through it, even beyond just capability.
Hmm.
But on her career graph, I feel like she fell back to the field, but she's letting us know she might still be in that phase where I might be better than y'all, even
Hmm.
if I fell back to y'all. Because she's falling off from that's why people who were barely in the gym, like, or barely made it, like, I said gym, like, just randomly, but, like, okay, I'm not gonna name drop because I don't wanna be that guy. What I'm saying is the athletes who are on the fringes, if at your best you were, "I'm trying to make a final," sneak up in there, when you fall off, you're done
Hmm.
because you were already not you didn't have enough space to fall. Shericka had so much space where I don't know if she's ever getting back to 21-4, 20 even 20 I don't even know if we're seeing that again. But she might still be able to hold on from what we're seeing now to 2028 and, like, show up to LA 2028 as a version of herself, a version that's better than y'all.
Hmm.
That's what I'm getting. 'Cause I've just been
Yeah.
waiting to
Yeah.
see it because I was walking competitively. How did she come off that turn on this field where you have Amy Hunt, who beat her last year, Shawnee Miller-Uibo with all her talent, Sha'Carri Richardson, who I wasn't really watching the whole race. I was watching the first half. Like, 'cause I was like, "Yeah,
Yeah.
she ain't gonna run nothing special in the 200, not now." Like, historically, Sha'Carri is not that type of runner. It's like you when she's there, she's always it's the 100 specifically. The 200, it comes as an extension of the 100.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like she's just running so well in the 100 then. So yeah, that's where I start with. She's the one who announced herself as I'm because she's running her event and running it
Hmm.
like her. And again, she's already like think about it. Gabby, Julian, and Shericka. I mean, well, Shericka ran in the 200 final, but like she wasn't
Yeah.
she
She
wasn't
was not
running it like
Shericka.
herself. The
Yeah.
other two ladies weren't even there. Like they at
Yeah.
the
That's
meet,
true.
like
Yeah.
competing in the event at that point. So like that's where we're starting the negotiation from.
Yeah. I think. Yeah, Shericka is, in my opinion, I think Shericka is looking like she's getting back to that old form. I actually think Shericka with this run, because at first she ran whatever it was, 22:07 at the Shanghai Diamond League, and then she bounced back, ran this 21:87. And I was like, okay, this 21:08, this gave me more confidence that getting back to 21:4 is not too far fetched. It goes back to my like I don't know the feeling that I've been getting more recently of just that if you had talent before and you were like at the top of the sport, like you reached essentially the pinnacle of the sport in terms of like performances and all that stuff, which Shericka has done. I think once you bounce back from your injury, that talent doesn't go away. Like, it just doesn't go away. So she's now able to get back into form and potentially string herself, at some point to, again, I'm not 100% predicting it because 21-4 is kind of crazy, but it could happen. But even more importantly, I think it does get very challenging for the rest of the field. Because if I'm to look at, Julien Alfred, she ran 21.86, like you said, Gabby Thomas ran 21.89, even just like ignoring the times, if Julien or Gabby were in the race with Shericka, I'm not sure I would bet against Shericka to lose that race based on, what I've seen now. I think more times than not, let's just say, you know, f- 2 out of 3 races that they run, Shericka would probably win that race because she knows how to execute. And she's back in that form and maybe that mindset of like, oh yeah, my body can do this from 2023, from 2022. I know what to do in a race. And like you said, when she executed around the curve, it was like game over at that point. So I'm looking at Shericka as like, okay, trending back towards that realm of the old person who was almost unbeatable. Now, it's a whole different question on whether we get to a point looking at the end of the year, 2020, World Ultimate Champs next year and then the Olympics the following year, on if any of the other athletes will be able to really step up. But Shericka is kind of showing some serious form that might be dangerous for some of the other athletes. Um, and that's yeah, that's like at least in a 200. I will say Julien though, she's also looking on some great form, and she got injured at the World Champs last year, so she didn't get to run the 2 like you said. She has some untapped potential. I mean, her best is 21.7, so there's some untapped potential there. But Shericka, I think, is on a different level. She's starting to show that she's back in a different level.
When you bring up Julien Alfred, let's go there, because she's part of the discussion.
Hmm.
I'm again, if we remove fandom for a moment, because everybody has the athletes who they want to see succeed. I think we're allowed to do that.
Of course.
Julien Alfred, her performances to me are interesting because it feels like she's always in the lab working on something, comes out, drops these time trials. That's what I call them. I mean, being real, she runs these time trials essentially against college fields or whatever. Like just runs
Yeah.
all over everybody to the point where it's like if you wanted to know the difference between the levels, you could see it. Where it's like this is
Mm,
elite college, but y'all ain't her. This is different.
yeah.
And then when she comes to the circuit, it's almost like how I put it. One of two things happens. Either she's like her reputation precedes her, and it's almost like there's nobody really there who's able to touch her, or she starts to fade back to the field. World Indoors,
Mm,
that's what happened. She faded back to the field
Orlando's, yeah.
because you got to remember how she started her season with those time trials. There's no good reason to believe that woman wasn't going
Yeah.
to win gold. I'm not
Yeah.
backing down. I'm gonna if I had to pick the race again, I'm still picking her.
Yeah. Same
And
thing.
that's just because there was no data to tell me that she was not supposed to win
Yeah,
until
yeah,
she didn't
yeah.
win. So with Julien, again, she did win at the Olympics. We already know that happened. We saw how she performed in the 200 there. The question is, at this point, we know she's great. We know she's going to run fast. We know she's going to run some random continental tour and just stomp all over everybody who's there at some point. Like this is what I expect to happen this year. What I don't know is in the biggest race of the year, whatever that race is deemed to be. 'Cause I don't even think
Mhm.
the Diamond League final counts as a big race for her anymore.
Nah, nah.
I feel like those
Yeah.
are races that she just comes in and just runs and
It's
collects an extra
basically
check
a
and
yeah, practice
moves
run
on.
for her.
Yeah,
Like,
so
yeah.
because I don't think the stakes represent enough that it like I don't wanna say rattle her, but like it's just there. So the world ultimate, if we wanna call that a thing, I think it's weird where with her level of talent, hmm. So here's my question.
Mm,
Would she what would does she need more competition in order to be, for lack of a better term, like, just a little bit more battle tested before those bigger races? Because, like, that's the question that I kinda battle with as far as, like, she be running races, but they ain't races. Time
yeah.
trial. Like, there's technically other people in the lanes, and she puts great performances down in those moments when technically they were there, but they weren't.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, because she suffers from the fact that nothing matters except the championship. Like, St. Lucia she's not going to a trial. Like, there's nothing, right? Like, these are literally, as you said, like, time trials. I'm pretty sure in interviews she said, like, "Coach, coach said, I'm working on these things. It just so happens to be a Diamond League race, and she just so happens to run like a 10-7 or something like that on a random, random place in Europe. But I think, well, last year we did see her race Melissa at Prefontaine. That was like one of the bigger races, outside of Worlds. And even though she lost to Melissa, it was like a very, very close race. Both women ran extremely fast. When we got to World Champs, Melissa was operating on a different level, and Julien had, a little bit of setbacks. I think I would like to see Julien race more of these women more frequently on the circuit to be able to get more data, because it feels like she always runs fast and she's always consistent. And to your point, but it doesn't, like, I don't know, it doesn't stand out because she's either so dominant or it's just not a relevant race. I would like to see her running against, back in like 2024 before the Olympics, right? She beat out Sha'Carri at one of those races, right? I want to see more of those races because that may be a better indicator of like, okay, going into at least this year, the Ultimate Championships, what's going to happen. I'd like to see her versus, Elaine Thompson-Herah or something like that. What does that look like for this year? What will Julien versus Sha'Carri look like on the circuit? With Sha'Carri, looking to be in better form, coming back off, she was injured last year, but what would Julien versus Sha'Carri in 100, right now look like? I probably pick Julien, but what does that look like as the season progresses? Those are kind of things I want to see, especially from Julien. Because yeah, Julien does seem like a question mark where she is top tier. Like she's top tier. Like you don't become an Olympic gold medalist. You don't run 10-7s consistently. Like you don't do that. But I think the conversation is a little more muddy when you put everyone else, Shericka, Sha'Carri, Julien, Elaine, like everyone makes it a little more muddy on like, okay, is Julien like really like a standout to a degree? I don't know.
Well, you brought up her racing Sha'Carri 2023, it was, I believe.
It was either
That her
2023 or 2024. I
Yeah,
forget.
well, they raced in both years, yeah, because
Yeah,
2023
yeah,
was
yeah.
before Worlds,
Oh yeah, so it must have
and,
been,
because
yeah, yeah, yeah,
she
before
beat
was
Sha'Carri before Worlds in 2020,
that that's the one I'm
and,
thinking about. Yeah,
because to clarify, um, looking back at these meetings, of the races, I think
that was in
that Hungary?
Hungary.
Yep, yep.
Yeah,
'Cause that was the only race, I'm not making this up, it's the only race Sha'Carri lost that year until
that
bronze.
year. That's true. Yeah,
So
because
again, if you
Sha'Carri
needed
was
any
racing a
evidence
lot.
that
Yeah,
Julien Alfred was quote unquote next, that should have been it. Like she only took one loss, and it was to her. But for Sha'Carri now, we'll get the question I'm having because okay, her 200s to put it on the board, they were mid. If you're just talking about judging her with the field, but the feeling is that you don't judge her the same way as the rest of the field. So I started looking back at past races and so on. I'm assessing it as for where she is, she's not quite as fast as she was in 2023 at this time,
yeah, nah.
but she's somewhere in between there and, certainly where we were last year. So now
Oh
the
yeah,
like much closer to that than this. So I'm like, well, if that girl, that version, I think, like that woman was what 10, you know, 10-7 really for the most part with 10-6
oh
like at
yeah.
her best.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying, 'cause I'm looking at the races like 10-76, 10-75. I mean 10-76 legal in Qatar. So I'm saying I feel like we're looking at a 10-8 Sha'Carri right now,
And yeah, that sounds
which
about
is still better than the
probably.
rest of y'all. Like, I mean, it's only
Yeah,
the people with her talent can go with her. I mean, because once you
yeah.
say if she can go get if she could go give you 10-87 tomorrow on in a week win legal like under 1-0 race, like if she who else can do that?
Right now, I'm only picking Julien. Um, granted, we haven't seen her, but probably Melissa. I'd assume Melissa could figure it out. If we're talking about a race there, Sha'Carri is not Sha'Carri, Shericka as well. Because if she just ran 21-8, I think she'd be right there too. And then probably Elaine as well. I mean, Elaine has run 10-9, like 10-9-2 already this year. So essentially, I'm only picking athletes who either have won a gold medal or a silver medal in the 100 and have run 10-7 or 10-6 already. Like, Those are the only ones right now. Now, granted, there are other women who are capable of, running a 10-8. I mean, like, for example, we just saw a Deja Haj run 10-7-7. But like, I'm not
Yeah, those are college
putting
times.
exactly. I'm not putting that
That's
in
what
the
we've
same
seen
conversation.
in the women's side specifically.
Yeah.
It's like look at the men's graph and the women's graph of the college times to what's happened in the rest of the world. And the women's graph always cut like Jason Sears be going 10-7 at Tom Jones. Like at this point, they might have their own clocks down there. Like, I mean, like
Exactly.
I'm not hey,
Exactly.
I was there to watch it. Shout out to them. It's just the translation. Because have you ever seen Jason Sears scare you to that degree from that race till now?
No, it's yeah, that's definitely for now an outlier
Yeah.
in her graph. Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think only those women, and then also add in, I think the Clayton twins would be there. I think Tia Clayton.
1091 from
Yeah.
Tia, yeah.
So again, if you're talking about Sha'Carri Richardson lining up for a race, probably as you said, like 10-8 form right now, probably you probably have to have a gold or silver medal and have run 10-7 at some point in your career, or like at least that.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
mean,
thinking about.
the Clayton twins could put up a fight. But I'm looking at the actual list on the world. I mean, we could play the game right now, and we're just going off of. I'm just at in your, I guess, can we say expert opinion?
I feel like we do enough commentary where it's like, we're experts in some
Is it-
capacity.
Yeah. So, in your knowledgeable opinion, and you're not, let's play the game. I'm going to use the real names on the list. The real
Ooh.
names. Like, okay, we're going to start from the bottom and see if we run into we hit a wall. You know, Sha'Carri versus Jenna Prandini right now. Who you taking in 100?
All due respect, because Jen is having a resurgence, but like, yeah, I'm taking Sha'Carri.
All right, I'm gonna jump up this list. Sha'Carri versus Gabby Thomas in a 100.
I'm taking Sha'Carri, and Gabby just ran a sub 11, but yeah,
Yeah. Sha'Carri versus Brianna Liston.
I'm taking Sha'Carri. And Brianna's good, but yeah,
Okay.
thinking
Cambria
Sha'Carri.
Sturgis.
Sha'Carri.
You see what I'm saying? Like, this is the list. This is the who's on it. I mean, so now at this point, you ran into Julien Alfred, Elaine Thompson, Hurrah, and Tia Clayton. That's it. That's what you're
Yeah.
left
So
with.
then, yeah. And
And
that's
I
the
would say
conversation.
it could go back and forth between any of those names. On
Yeah,
ability, talent, the circumstances, whatever. That's the group that actually could run with her. But you see how like people who had times on the board, you was just like, I don't see it.
yeah, yeah. And that's to the point of Sha'Carri. As much I know she's so polarizing, and like some people love her, some people hate her, but like I'm kind of at a point where you can't count her out, because obviously, you know, had all the struggles back in 2021 and 2022 and all that, but once she got right, 2023 got the gold medal and got it in emphatic fashion, running 10-6 against a very quality field. 2024, the only person she loses to is Julien Alfred, who you literally just said a year before was the only person to beat her in that legendary season. So makes sense at the Olympics. 2025, we all had a lot of questions about what she looked like throughout the entire year. Like, she did not look like the Sha'Carri, but she found a way to make the final, and she only lost to Melissa, Tina Clayton, Julien Alfred, and Shericka Jackson. Like, those are the only people who she lost to. So it's not like she finished down in the pack or she didn't make the like. So when I'm looking at Sha'Carri right now, as many questions as people can have, as much criticism as people can have, I'm looking at her as someone who knows how to figure it out. Like, it just seems to be the case with Sha'Carri as it stands. Doesn't mean she's always going to be a gold medalist or whatever, but like she she shows up. She's able to show up. That's what I'm kind of taking away from her, at least for now.
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, a lot of names come and go. That's another thing. Like people have a hot year. And again, I'm not going to go name dropping. I just scrolled through the 100-meter list and scrolled through the top 100 names in the world. And there's some names near number 100
Mhm.
who looked like last year, people were like, oh, this person looking real good. And right now, for where we're at, because again, I'm like, the great ones, the ones who win things and keep winning stuff, I'm sorry. Like, there's a standard. And you don't just randomly fall off the standard. I think, Sha'Carri has always been, felt like she was racing herself more than it was everybody in the other lanes. I think that's why she'd been unique, and that's why grading her requires, I feel like a magnifying glass, because
Mm,
you have to assess the races in relationship to her more than everybody else. I mean,
yeah.
even to the end by which where if she's in a race where winning is clearly not going to happen in the last 20, generally speaking, she just lets up.
Mm,
That's what I've seen. Like, you can tell, like, the jets get turned off because it's like, well, in the grand scheme of what we're doing in this sport, whether I run an extra 3/10 of a sec 3/100th of a second faster ain't gonna make much of a difference. So, just put the car in neutral and let's go home. Like, and then we'll, for now we know where we are on the way to where it's headed. For now, then I'm expecting, well, okay. Do you think Sha'Carri's gonna run this World Ultimate Championship?
I think she'll run. I think she'll get enough again, just by nature of the way that it works, you run the diamond leagues, you'll get enough points, like, and just coming off of last year, you'll like Sha'Carri will be fine to like get there. Now, I also think that she'll run. I think that she's in a position where now, to be clear, Sha'Carri doesn't have to do anything technically, right? But I think there's an aspect of almost like, okay, Sha'Carri needs to be there to show that I am still in this conversation. Even as much as I've, said that, she's proven that she can be there no matter what in terms of like, at the top echelon and making the finals and being on the podium. But think of all the women who are in that upper conversation between, I mean, let's just take Melissa, Julien, and Shericka, just taking those three at minimum. That could be a podium, and Sha'Carri could be on the outside looking in, right? Add in the Clayton twins, add in, somebody else, whoever. So I think Sha'Carri needs to go to World Ultimate Champs to almost like reassert the fact that I deserve to be here. I can compete with you all. I can beat you all on any given day, right? Because the Diamond Leagues are the Diamond Leagues. Like anyone could win, anyone could do this, that, whatever. But like, what does it look like at again the quasi or whatever you want to call it, like the major championship of this year? So there's an aspect I feel like she needs to go, even though she doesn't need to go, right? Just to kind of show, all right, I'm here. Like
Yeah.
I can do this.
I'd say it's clearly not about her fame or status, and much
Nah.
more about, as an athlete having confidence, where I would assume that you don't wanna have multiple years go by where you don't get to taste what really winning something might feel like. It's not, again, the money,
Hmm.
that those things are less important. It's just kind of like, 'cause there's a psychological component, like I said. When these races are not being run, you know, off in the middle of nowhere, you're running them with
Yeah.
people in the other lanes. That's why Julien Alfred runs so many time trials. The only thing at this point that scares me is that when the people who have her talent roughly are next to her, how's that gonna go considering you've been running free and clear of the field? I mean, we can at this point label it gout syndrome, and that might stick because he ran so many hundreds by himself that I don't think people realize he's really a 10-200 meter guy for the most part,
Mm,
based on what
mm,
those races look like by himself. Like, that's what it's been.
yeah.
He's run
Yeah.
that pretty consistently. He's gone a little faster here and there, 10-1-9, 10-1-7. He had a 10-0 something at some point, but the point is, like, if you told me he's gonna run 10-20 in a 100-meter dash, win legal, I would be like, "That's fine. That's what he
Yeah,
does."
it makes
It's
sense.
just
It
that
makes
he'd be way
sense.
ahead of people when he's doing it.
Mm,
So, does everybody look fast by themselves? The difference is Julian Alfred actually be fast by herself. She don't just
yeah,
look
yeah,
fast, she is.
yeah. She is. Yeah, that's true.
So, and then when the other people get around, is she gonna be at the same level of fast? Because
Mm,
her indoor 60, remember, this year, when she started her season, nobody was within point 3, point 0.4 in a 60-meter dash race on the
so
women's side.
yeah.
So, she's going 7-0, like 7-0-0, 7-0-1, 7-0-2, and you've got 740 behind her.
Yeah.
She was
Yeah.
doing a time trial and they were running a race. It's the same way that in practice, like if you have a woman who showed up to sprint with the men, like to do block starts, and they're going like to 40 or something, it's like, okay, you're not really racing them.
Yeah.
You're more chasing them. The
Yeah.
difference
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
everybody was chasing her in
Yeah.
those types of moments. Again, the 100 that she ran is a version of that. The 200 she ran was a version of that, where
Yeah.
she just goes and does her thing, and they're all just out there. I mean, granted, she's, worked with University of Texas and, like those are her
Yeah.
girls and so on. But at the same time, like competitively speaking, we just throw that out. Galleon on that level. I mean, now when you move to Gabby Thomas and what she's done this year, she feels like she's running her way back into a conversation because, I mean, for the track people anyway, she was just not there at the championship event. And at the USA, she didn't look like herself because she really wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Even GST, she didn't, because she didn't win a slam per se outside of that first one.
Mm.
And that was kind of a cheat code because you're on the 200 people, you just can't run with her. In the 400, she doesn't technically win it.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So it was
Yeah.
kind of like, it was one of those like she ran the season, but at the same time, it still felt like she almost didn't when the season was over.
Yeah. Gabby is an interesting case because, like you said, last year, I mean, even just before USA's, like she got injured. Gabby's a very interesting case. She, to me, might actually be one of the more dangerous athletes as we look forward, not only 2026, but also like 2027 and beyond and stuff like that. Because last year, even though she didn't, she won the first slam in Jamaica, but then she didn't in Myanmar, but she still ran 21 seconds in Myanmar, right? Essentially showing like I'm still capable of this. Now she did lose to Melissa in Philly the next one, and then Melissa goes on to just dominate the year. But Gabby at least showed I'm still capable of doing this. Similar, and then even when she got injured, she still went to USA's and she made the team. Like she still qualified for the team. She eventually pulled out of Worlds, but like she proved, okay, this is still the event that I'm the Olympic champion in this event. This year, she's run 21.8 already. She was a first one to run the 21.8 between her, Julien, and Shericka, and she ran sub 11 seconds. Now I know altitude and all these different things, but like she ran sub 11 seconds. I look at Gabby as dangerous because let's say she's like figuring out getting more speed and like working on certain technical things that are getting her to sub 11. But then also, she's been chasing sub 11 for her entire career. That's been like almost a mental block where it's like, I need to get this. I need to get this. Now that's done. And she could just focus in on the 200 and be like, okay, Shericka is coming back. Melissa is on a different level. Julien is doing her thing. I now have the opportunity to just lock in and possibly be a better version of myself from before, which is a 21.6, version, which is, Olympic champion, Olympic bronze, world silver. Now, it doesn't mean she's going to like beat Shericka Jackson if we see Shericka, operating on a different level. Who knows what Melissa might do? But I think that Gabby has the opportunity to really step things up even more so than we've seen in her career over the past couple of years. That's what I'm looking at so far, just based on what she's done this year so far. No, no.
And what's funny though is, okay, we started this conversation with Shericka, and now we're coming back to it.
Hmm.
How fast do you think Gabby Thomas can go over the next 2 years? That's and it's not so much about the clock as much as it's like compared to the field. Do you really see her gaining that much separation on the bag of people who have her requisite level of talent? That's what I'm asking.
N- No. So
Because
I
who
think,
is that bag? Who are the ones who have her requisite level of talent? Shericka, yes, correct. Okay.
yeah,
Julien Alfred, it feel like Gabby's better than Julien Alfred in the 200 to me,
yeah,
specifically because that Olympic final, she came off the turn in front for somebody
yeah,
who's supposed to be faster through, through the 100, but Julien Alfred don't run her 100 or 200 the same way.
yep, yep,
So
yep.
once I saw Julien Alfred not win the turn, I was like, "Oh, this race is over."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like
You're not
I
catching
called it. I
Gabby.
was I was like at 100 meters. I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
what are we waiting for?"
You're not catching Gabby. If you're not ahead of her off the curve, like you're in the case of Julien, you're not catching her. So there's Julien, then there's Melissa as well. I mean, Melissa ran 21.68, so you can't, you know, she's by far like in that same conversation as well. Um,
How fast? Well, we can add that on too. How much faster do you think she can go in a 200? Because I don't know. I feel like every time she run a 200 to me, I'll just be like, let's just see how this goes. And it'd be
yeah,
going well. And I'll be like, huh, that's how it went. But like,
yeah, yeah.
I don't, I haven't come to a point. I don't even, I haven't had enough time to get used to it.
Yeah, that's true. Because it's only been, at least for Melissa, it's only been one season. I don't even think Melissa was at the top of 2025, like, oh yeah, I'm going to do this in the 200. Like, I don't think she was even thinking about that. So the thing I'll say is, I don't think Gabby, so in terms of time, like, I think Gabby is capable of getting to a 21.4. I think she actually is capable of that over the next couple years. Now,
That's big.
I think she has the talent and capabilities of doing it, but I don't think she has the luxury of of being able to do to the field what Shericka has done to a 200-meter field. I don't think we'll ever see that, where Shericka is running 21.4 and like dominating the rest of the field because people just can't keep up. I don't think Gabby can do that. I think if Gabby runs a 21.4, you'll probably see Shericka also running 21.4 or maybe 21.3. Who knows, right? Like, I think Gabby has a lot of untapped talent, but Shericka does too, and Melissa does too. I don't know if Melissa does too. I don't know. I don't know.
Again, Melissa's in a different conversation. I feel like she, it was like, she was like that player in, like an NBA 2K where they had the potential and then they come back a different season and they're just better than what they was. Where like the overall used to say 82, but now it's at 93. Or like they do, they log in the game, did updates. So it's like when they get,
Yeah.
like, when did that star get there?
Yeah.
Like that, you know how to like you have a little icon, the icon changed.
Yeah.
And it's like that wasn't the icon last time I played the game. But I don't know how many more updates are coming.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Like, and because it sounds funny, but what I'm saying is like we saw the update, we saw the upload or whatever you want to call it, but it wasn't like a career graph that just went. It was more like you could see that there was potential, but at the same time, nobody knew it was just gonna jump.
This is for
Now that it
Melissa.
did, I don't expect there to be another jump. I think this is it. I think this is who she is.
Ooh.
Like,
It,
who she are, bro, how much faster can people go? So she's already in the 10 sixes. She's already at the 21 sixes in a like, or 21.68 high, double. I
yeah.
think 10.6, 10.7, that's more like who she is. That's who she is. I'm not asking more. I'm expecting like for her to just keep rolling. Like, I mean, she might have a little bit more in there. And if so, I'll celebrate it with her and be like, man, like because you got to remember, she beat the odds a few times. That's why I grade her differently,
Mm.
because I do consider how you got here. Specifically, when we're talking about American sprinters, how did you get
Mm.
here? And her report on how she got here, where she's again beat the odds.
Mm.
Wasn't even supposed to be at USA's. You was there. Was never supposed to win USA's. You won it. Was never supposed to get a world medal, Olympic medal. You did it. Wasn't supposed to get gold. You did. Like, ain't nothing in the report that said when she walked onto her freshman year college campus, she was there supposed to be there. None of those things
Yeah.
was supposed to happen. Now, Gabby's a little different because her freshman year of college, she may not have been highly touted and like we knew about her, but her freshman year of college, by the time it was over, you already knew you was looking at something special.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
You see what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
Like, because she was an
That's true.
NCAA finalist already by that point.
And she made the Olympic trials final at her freshman year as well
Yeah,
in
so
the
that's why I
200.
say she's like you still saw she might have been a quote unquote late bloomer in the scheme of being a phenom, but by the
Yeah. Yeah.
time you saw it, and it was like, okay. So that's why when we talk about how much further you can go, I'm like, she already. I mean, how many times we gonna break the sound barrier? I mean, again, I'm treating her differently. She's kind of given us a standard, and we'll see if that standard can be raised. Gabby Thomas, to me, I think she might be able to be a little bit better. But when you say 21-4, I'm like, man, that's asking a lot. I mean, granted, I know you're saying it's possible. I'm just saying, like, I feel as if what happened to women sprinting is it's like there's these unofficial lines,
Hmm.
and these unofficial lines are kind of like the barrier. Because remember, women sprinting is pretty scattered when you look at like the lack of parity across it. So 21-6 to me is like 60 specifically. That's like a line. I just don't expect women to go past that. And if you do, then you just crossed into the red zone where it's like, oh, as Aaron Brown said, like his language for it was demon time. Not exactly how I would call it, but like, hey, ain't nobody coming with you if you're going that far. Gabby Thomas, I don't know if she. I guess that's why I get the question is, can she go that far? Because I don't know if Julien Alfred can go that far. It takes a lot to go 21-7, 21-6.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So I don't know
Yeah.
if she can go that far. I feel like they're all going to be battling in that bag. I think LA 2028 is going to be a bunch of 21-6, 21-7 women.
Yeah.
I think we're going to
Yeah.
get four of them, and one of them's not going to hit the podium. I think that's what we're going to get.
Probably. Yeah, that's
It's going
probably
to look
very
like that
true.
world final for the men that we just had last year.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true. Where
It's going to be
these guys.
in that mix where it's a bunch of people within and in the field. But I think the
That's true.
field is gonna be fielding, like, back there,
Back there. That's
like
true.
22 people who don't break 22. And
Yeah.
then you'll have the people who went with the pace and the ones who can't.
Yeah, yeah. I
Somebody gotta
just
make it to the
think
final.
I think Gabby gets a little underestimated because she's run in a generation and essentially come up in a generation with Shericka and even earlier with Elaine. Because that first Olympics, like Elaine was running 21-5. And Gabby got a medal. She got a bronze medal there, at the Tokyo Olympics before she got gold the next time. But like Gabby has run essentially in this generation, it's only Shericka and Gabby in the 200. Like they are way, way ahead of everyone else, right? When you're talking about the gold medals that have, come through in this generation, obviously Melissa just got one now, but it's like Shericka, Gabby, and then Gabby got silver behind Shericka in 2023. Gabby has run sub 22 seconds. Like I think all time it's Shericka, there's Merlene Ottey, and then there's Gabby. And it's all from, Merlene Ottey obviously back in the 80s and 90s, but like Gabby and Shericka is just in these past 5, 6 years. So Gabby really is on a different level in the 200. It's just that Shericka is on such another level that it makes her accomplishments and her talent not really kind of shine through. So that's why I think she's run 21-6-0. And yes, I know it was at Eugene and she's run 21-6-1. Same thing at Eugene. But like she has the talent to get faster. And I think with not only her quote unquote newfound speed or whatever you want to call it, with like what she's done in the 100, but then also just the mental idea of like, I got over that barrier in the 100 and what she's done in the 400 just last year, like tapping into some new talent there. I think that will all converge when we're talking about the 200 going into 2027, 2028. Again, I don't know if she's 100% going to run 21-4, but I think she has the talent and the ability to do it. Just like I think with the men, athletes like Kashane or Oblique, maybe even Jordan, like I feel like they have the talent and ability to run 9-6, but I'm not predicting them to actually run a 9-6. So that's where I'm kind of looking at it with Gabby. But if Shericka is back in, like, gets back to her full health, like, I'm not sure I see anyone beating her, even Gabby. Like, there's levels to it there.
Yeah, right. That's a valid point. That's a valid take. I mean, I guess, to some degree, you convinced me to move from wherever I was sitting to kind of gravitate to that spot. But,
Yeah.
like, I'll give you credit there. Gabby is affiliated with, the
Yeah.
Athlos track. I don't even know if I can use the word league right now. The Athlos track situation, the experience. There we go.
Situation, yeah.
Experience.
Experience.
Yeah.
Experience sounds good.
Yeah, the Athlos track and long jumps field experience, and the experience is expanding. So Atlos is going to be going to London. We got this
Hmm.
news that they're going to have their New York meet still in October, but they're also going to have a London meet a few weeks before that. It's going to be two meets that add up. The athletes are supposed to run in both. They're going to get a Tiffany crown at the end of it. I guess they're going to get big money in both, like 60K here, 60K over there if you get the wins. And it's supposed to be like a scoring system based on consistency, not just one performance. Not my words. That's what their website said. So
Yeah.
here's the question. How do we feel about it considering that was not the plan? And I know because their website told us something entirely different. And I had to go fact check. I had to go back and look at the screenshots we had from what the website told us, including what they said in press conferences and so on about a team-based league where you were going to have team captains and you were going to score points. And that's what we were told. And
Hmm.
that somehow shifted into what feels like a really highly paid Diamond League women's meet with 6 runners and some long
Yeah.
jumpers. So, which some people say is innovation because of the cash. I do not care how much money the athletes make in the context of the fan experience. Those are separate conversations. The fan experience is one thing, and then you have what the athletes get. Because if the athletes get it, that's great for them in the moment, but it may not be what works long term to because fans want to continue getting a product,
Yeah.
if that makes sense. So it's
Yeah.
like if the athletes get paid today, but we don't get a long term product, then as a fan, you still lost. So,
Yeah.
I mean, now Athlos has money because the man behind it has money. That's not the question. But what are our thoughts on this new rescaled vision? Was it a good idea for them to, kind of, we know they told us one thing and then did something else, but like, is this a good move?
I mean, I mean, I think in general, I guess it's a good move. I don't know, maybe it's a little neutral. I think I can't separate the idea that they told us something different. Like, we know for a fact they had different plans than what we're actually getting. Because I know 2024, they had their meet, and people in 2025 were saying, okay, it's a good idea that they're taking this slow in that they're only doing one other meet to kind of prove the concept before they go into the league of 2026. But now we have, essentially clear evidence that what they were planning didn't work. We don't know why, but they had to kind of revert back to, okay, now we could put on one more meet, and you know, it's really going to look very similar to what we've seen before in the sense that, be a celebration of the athletes, they'll be getting paid, it'll be a party because, both of these meets in New York City and in London, like they're on a Friday night, it'll be a similar situation. Yes, you add in the point structure, but it's to your point, it's like a diamond league as opposed to something different. So I'm not sure like what the different experience is or like the innovation is as it stands right now. That's where I'm like, I guess it's fine, but it's not like, oh wow, okay, something new. Like I'm not sure I feel anything different from last year, except okay, they're going to another city. Like I don't know. I'm not sure.
The thing about it is track has struggled about what our product is. How do we clarify what we're doing? And the product has evolved into, for what we want to call pro track. In pro track, I mean an event where people get paid thousands of dollars to go out there and compete. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Am I clarifying professional track by describing it as that?
I mean,
A meeting where
basically,
people get paid thousands of dollars to go compete. Is that fair? Like the individual athletes.
yeah, on the basic level, that's basically what's happening
That's pro
when we're
track.
talking about pro track. Yeah.
Okay. So if we're talking about pro track, then essentially these meets just pick whatever events they want, so far as I can tell, and get
Hmm.
whatever fields they can cobble together and put up whatever money they're able to put up to set up said field and then go have the meet.
Yeah.
So far, all the meets are doing that. Pick events, get athletes, pay them amounts. Everything else is just extra. So you might do extra fanfare. In this case, you might get Megan Thee Stallion or Ciara. You might get a Tiffany crown. You might, have Serena Williams hand out the crown. Like you could do all this extra. But Diamond League, they don't have a crown, but they got a trophy. And that joint look pretty cool. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, like I ain't gonna lie, like it look hot. I feel like, I was like, if I ever made it to the Diamond, I would want one of those.
Yeah, I've held one of them before. I don't have one, but I've held one. They're nice. They're pretty nice.
So there you go. So, I mean, my thought being when it comes to innovation in the context of, because these are the women who I know are supposedly affiliated. You got Gabby Thomas at the center, Sha'Carri Richardson, Tara Davis Woodhall. They're all affiliated. They're all a part of something,
Yeah.
planning something, come up with something. So here's my thought.
Mhm.
If this is what they came up with, I highly doubt it. I feel like they did not say, you know what? You know what we should do? Do another meet in
Yeah.
London. I don't feel like that's what happened.
Yeah, nah. Yeah, nah. Because even as as you kind of lay
They ain't
out
even running the last one, Sha'Carri and Gabby.
no, no, yeah, that's true, that's true.
They ain't even
And
running New York.
for the
Melissa
record,
ain't even run New York.
I
She
was
was
gonna say
there.
Melissa, yeah, she was there. All of them were there, but, you know, only a few. And I was gonna say to the point of we don't even know if Sha'Carri is gonna compete, right? Like, obviously, she's part of it, but she was announced part of it before, last year, and she didn't compete. And it wasn't like Melissa, who was, like, signed up to compete, but then pulled out because of, whole season, whatever. So, but I don't know. We'll see. But to your point, yeah, I'm very skeptical that all the athletes, and we're talking about the best athletes in the world, right? Like we're talking about Olympic champions, world champ, like these are the best women in terms of like competition. I don't think that this was what they truly came up with. And again, we know for a fact that something happened, right? Something fell through. We just don't know what happened. We may never know, but that's where I'm like, it's essentially neutral. It's cool. Get to see more track, but I don't know. I don't know.
Okay. Some people think I'm just being negative, and I'm willing to take the hits because I actually want to see something sustainable. I mean, we talk offline, so I'm gonna let people know a little bit of what these conversations are. The reason why I pick apart professional track ideas is because I want to see something thrive. I am
Mhm,
selfish. If something thrives, it's
mhm.
good for me. The more success they have, and don't nobody want to see a pro track league or anything that resembles organized track with professional entities and professional athletes and cash flowing. I want to see it happen more than just about anybody else because that means I have something to cover, something to discuss, something to analyze, something to break down. That makes my life better. It actually helps my bank account. The more stuff that we have to talk about that people care about. So make no mistake, if I'm being negative, I'm not being negative just because I feel like it. I'm being negative because I want to see things thrive. And when I see gaping holes that will shoot something in the foot, I point them out because I'm like, hey, maybe this voice in the wilderness will get heard by somebody. Maybe
Yeah.
somebody with influence will hear what I say and be like, you know what? Maybe he's not wrong.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
here's
yeah.
my thought. What they're doing right now, this is my biggest concern. Athlos worked as a one off event. You know why? Because it was one.
Mm.
There's a reason why we don't have two all star games in the NBA.
Interesting. Yeah.
You feel what I'm saying? We don't have two. There's a reason why they don't have two Super Bowls in the NFL. I'm taking big events, but they don't have two of them. They have one. Because one a year can be special. Two is not special anymore. You see what I'm saying? If you're going to do two or more, now you need a story. And the story has to matter. And everybody has to agree that it does. When
Mhm.
you had one, you didn't need a story. The story was, we did it. So if I had asked all the athletes, I would have gotten a bunch of different stories on why they were there. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it seems like makes sense.
Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, everybody wasn't all on the same page, but they didn't need to be. They just needed to participate because it was the one. But now we need to all row in the same direction. My concern is can you get the best women in the world to all row in the same direction? And here's my answer. Spoiler alert, not going to happen.
Mm.
That's not how this sport has been designed thus far. And you would be trying to be brand new to convince that to happen. Because once you go to London, you immediately made this a non American thing. It's no longer about American athletes. It can't be because you went outside of the American market. So you can't just say we got the best athletes from America. That's not going to help anymore. You see what I'm saying? Like you shifted already where the narrative can go. It has to be global now because you
Mm.
have a global vision.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah.
justify
Actually.
just bringing you could have gave me Parker Valby and Caitlin Tooley, and I would have watched if you just kept it here in the States. You see what I'm saying? Like in the distance running, using that as an example. I mean, for people, I don't know how many people are distance fans who are on this channel right now. What I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying is, you could justify that
Mm-hmm.
under the pretense of what we're like. That's why you have to be clear. What are we doing versus what are we not? So that's what my question is. I'm trying to understand what is actually happening that's innovative. Because Atlos was innovative because it showed me what a track all-star game would look like. That's what I called it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Like, that was innovation to me. But you can't have an all-star game twice. It's not an all-star
Yeah.
game anymore. It's something else.
Yeah, and what's crazy is now as you're kind of talking through it, with them going to London and being international now, so you have London and you have New York. Let's say they and I know this isn't even the plan, but let's say they wanted to create 2 All-Star games. One that's American and then one that's explicitly, for let's just say Europeans, right? But even that would kind of mess up their structure because the idea of getting the Tiffany crown is that you have to accumulate the most points across both meets. So let's say you're trying to cater to the British fans and you get a whole bunch of British or European athletes at the first one, but then you get a whole bunch of American athletes for the second one in New York, then you just compromise your system. Like you just made it so there was no point of competing at both meets because you want to have an all-star game there, you want to have an all-star game there, and no one could get the most like it just wouldn't even make
Yeah, the
sense. So
fans may not resonate
yeah,
where
exactly.
so now
Exactly.
your only pitch is, "I have the best."
Which
So what happens
is
when you don't have the best? Now,
yeah.
I know we're jumping out the window, totally irrelevant, but Enhance shows you what happened when you don't have the best.
Mm,
You can put as
mm.
much sauce on it as you want. You can give it they pay do you know again, I'm still getting over this. The fact that they paid someone
Mm.
20, 30, 40, $50,000 to run, you know, in the women's side, we had people running 11 high
I
12,
know.
not injured.
Yeah.
They ran
Yeah.
11 high 12 in a 100-meter dash. Like, we focus on the women right now. Forget about the men and somebody running 10-8. That's not important.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
We're
yeah.
just focused on that side. But they came with cash thinking the cash was gonna make a product. That product was terrible, even with cash flowing. So that's the danger. Just because you spend money doesn't mean that A, you're gonna make money, or B, that the performances will warrant said cash. When you
Mhm.
bring Faith Kipyegon, there's a standard that she runs with, which is why she's worth what she's worth.
Yeah.
Because she brings the standard. It's not the cash that brings the standard, it's her. And there's only a limited supply of her out there.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? You give me her, you give me Beatrice Chibet, if we're talking distance. In the sprinting
Yeah.
world, again, Sha'Carri, Gabby, like, let's be honest. What happens if you have an Athlos without, you know, the premier ladies in certain events? Last year, who did we not get? We had no Melissa, no Gabby, no Sha'Carri, no Julien, no Shericka. That's 5. No Tia, no Tina, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
We're going all
actually,
ahead.
I was gonna say you didn't have the entire 100-meter final at the from what I remember from the world champs, like, they were there. What's crazy is, like
We didn't have TT Terry.
yeah.
He ain't even
I was
get
gonna
hurt.
say I was gonna say, like, half of that field, the women's 100-meter field, was actually in New York City. Like, Melissa was there, Sha'Carri was there, Shelly Ann was in in New York, but, like, they didn't compete. So
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I trust me. Here's my argument. I don't care what anybody wants to mislead me about. That wasn't the plan.
Yeah. Yeah,
You get what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like, even last year, that wasn't the plan. They were just able to kind of like put a band-aid over that problem that needs surgery because it was an all-star experience, even if all the stars weren't competing.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
they were able to kind of like keep the fanfare and the excitement and the Ciara and everything else to keep to distract us from the fact that, wait a minute,
Yeah.
why you not like why you like that like I'm choosing my words carefully for a reason as far as like like with the utmost respect for what Athlos is trying to do, I want to see it thrive. Trust me. If it works, whatever they're doing, if it works, it's great for everybody. It's great for the men
Hmm.
and the women because it'll give us a framework. But nobody has seen pro track thrive thus far. We're all throwing stuff at the wall to see what's going to stick. And there's conceptual and then there's reality. I've concluded that conceptual, what's happening is it's running into or colliding with the reality of the current system. And I think that's what happened to them. Like
Mm.
there was the system in place and what their vision was. And I think they realized that they probably couldn't get away with doing a league, considering the athletes who would need to be a part of it and the inability to sell that product.
Mm. Yeah.
It'd be a huge customer education gap to close, to be able
Yeah.
to explain to people, and I'm not gonna name drop. I'm just saying there are many athletes who would have had to be incorporated, who run for track clubs, unattached, whatever it is,
Yeah.
in order to make it work and to sell that product when it's like, "Wait a minute, I thought I was gonna see Gabby Thomas. I thought I was
Yeah.
gonna see Sha'Carri Richardson."
Yeah.
And if they couldn't get buy-in from those to level of athletes to say, "We're gonna do it," and, like, do it, they were like, "Alright, well, we gotta scale back." But then where they came, it's like they're in this weird middle ground. You try to make everybody happy and making nobody happy. That's my thing.
Yeah. I
They're in the
essentially
middle right
agree.
now.
They're in the middle. I'm on the same page. Like, I want this to succeed. Like, or I just want whether it's this, whether it's whatever, even Grand Slam track, whether it was the diamond, like I don't know, whatever, like something to succeed in our sport. And so essentially, I'm in theory, I'm rooting for Athlos, but my only problem now is like we were just told one thing explicitly that seemed like it could be something moving in the right direction. Like the idea of it, and again, you speak about it all the time, where it's like teams, and we were there was some semblance of something going on here, but you know, something happened, and now we're not getting that.
They
So
still
it's
just did one meet still and did one team-based meet. Fine. Like, I would have been down with that. And people would say, "Well, why do we care about these teams?" I'm like, "Well, it's Team Gabby, Team Sha'Carri, team" fine, I'm with it.
yeah,
Team Faith. Like, you see how don't seem that hard to me.
clearly something happened
They could
because
have
like
you could have
I
took
don't
the
know.
same Atlos meet you had last year and had a team framework with who was actually competing. You get my point?
I agree. I'm just
Like, that would have been innovation.
man. I again I
Same meet.
we'll probably never know, but I would not be surprised if there was something that happened that was like, oh, actually, this can't work for whatever reason. I don't know why, but like, because we just have to be honest. You said at the top, it's not like there's a lack of funds, right? Like, it's not like that's not a barrier. They're able to go all the way to London, and like that's not a barrier. The money isn't the barrier. Something was blocking. I don't know what it is
Yeah.
though, but
Well, I mean,
it's
but with the money, though, you do also still want to have a viable business venture. So even when you're printing money, eventually you won't be able to keep printing money. So there comes a point where any shrewd business person wants there to be a return on investment, and track has never proven that it can give one. Let's be honest. It has.
well, then why if because to your point, you could just make the meet one team, like one meet, and it's like a team, like focus on teams, right? Why didn't that happen? Because like clearly there needs to be some investment made up front, which I guess they've been doing to prove that this is a viable product and this is something that works. Like if the team idea is like something that was really, really promoted, and at least I think most people can agree there'd be some semblance of like, okay, this actually might be a good idea. Why not
I mean,
invest
you're
in it?
familiar with Athletes Unlimited? You heard that?
Yeah, a little familiar.
I mean, they're not just basketball, volleyball, like they're multiple sports, basketball, volleyball. I think there's a softball component, whatever.
Mm,
Athletes Unlimited gives you a framework for kind of how do you do almost like a pickup style competition with pros,
mm,
where you have like some version of like I don't know it well, but it's a women's thing where they have like almost like a team captain structure, and they go out there and they compete in this format. Athlos
mm.
could just looked over there, and I'm pretty sure they're aware. I'm sure they know what's going on in women's sports. So that's what I'm saying. You could still have a one-off meet that's still innovation on where you were.
Yeah.
And that's why if the whole team captain argument, that was exactly how you would need to do it. anchor around there. But there's like that's like that made the most sense. I mean, if you could have did 3 teams, 2 athletes per event from each team. The thing is, you might have to just obviously you got to fill in somebody if you need to if someone's pulling out of the meet for whatever the reason. But you can always
Yeah.
go get someone who wants some of that Athlos check. So the point is, like, there was ways to do it. They scaled back for some reason, which means there was a long range idea. I think they were scared off of something more long range. I don't think it's like we're running back teams next year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Which
yeah.
leads me to the point of like, wait, so this thing is just. So in other words, Atlos is here, and I don't know if it'll be here tomorrow. Like it's here now. That's the feeling that it
It's
now gives me, and they can convince me otherwise. But I'm letting them know where I stand if they ever asked. Is that it's here and it might be gone one day.
oh yeah, oh yeah,
If you started off scaling back before you even scaled up,
yeah,
you
yeah,
didn't need
yeah.
to. You didn't need 2 meets to innovate. You could have did that with one. They
That's the
did say
thing.
league. That was the problem. They did say the word league, which implies multiple. So I think
Yeah.
they probably said we need more. I think they probably wanted multiple more than they wanted the team-based
Mm,
structure, and so we
yeah,
have to pick one for whatever
which makes
reason.
sense. The last thing I'll say is that I've looked back through the history of track and field at different, whether it's league or quote unquote leagues, initiatives, or various different things, and most things that have come in to try and like completely innovate. Obviously, we have the Diamond League and whatever, whatever. But like most things that have tried to come in and like really innovate, Grand Slam track included, have not worked out. Right, we're still in the place that we are at right now in track and field because things have just not worked out. And going back to the '60s and whatever, before track and field was even quote unquote professional. So to your point, seeing this kind of like move backwards from the initial idea, it doesn't give me as much hope. I am rooting for Athlos. I want to see the success, but it's like I I I just feel like we're in a lateral place from 2024, 2025 now into 2026. Sure, there's one more city, but there's no difference.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll cover it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We'll watch it. We'll pay attention. You'll hear people will hear our voices because hey, more pro track where the big name athletes, or I'd say it that way, like the athletes people want to see, go out there and compete. It's better for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
That's better for everyone. It's better for me. So
Yeah. So we'll see.
I'll be selfish.
Hey.
I want to see it thrive.
Hey. My name is Anderson from The Final Leg.
And I'm Coach Rob from SCA Track and Field. And thank you for watching this segment from The Finish Line.
If you want to know what's really going on at the high school and college level, be sure to subscribe to Coach Rob Track and Field.
And if you want more content on the best track and field athletes in the world, be sure to subscribe to The Final Leg.